quiet. I think we're going live. Shh. Be quiet.
Hiding rabbits.
Okay, I think we're live. Everybody be quiet. Shh.
I'm hunting rabbits. Yeah.
Okay, what's going on with my video now? My brand new freaking intro didn't work. Let's try this crap again. Hold on.
Hi, this is Antonio Jimenez, author of such projects such as the TV Throw Devil and the SD Pack, and you are watching CoCoTALK. 3, 2, go.
This is CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer. With your host, Mr. Gameplay Goodness himself, Stevie Stroud.
All right, and here we are, people. We are here live for episode 54 of CoCoTALK. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody in the live chat already. John Lowery is here. Disney Saints fan is here already. 15 people are with us in the live chat, and we just started the show. Also with us on the show, we'll try to keep the introductions moving quick and short and sweet, but we've got Mark D. Overholser. We've got Mikey. We've got L. Curtis Boyle. Jason, the CoCo Man, as seen as PennFest 99 and PennFest 2000, signing autographs this year at CoCoFEST 2018. From down under in Australia, it's Nick Marentes.
Good day,
From somewhere traveling through Broward County, Florida, David Laffineuse is here. We have somewhere else, Richard Lorbieski of Voice On Technology is here. Ron Delvaux is with us. Steve Bjork is here from Southern California. Somewhere in the solar system, we have David Ladd. And certainly, last but not least, but we've got Grant Leighty. So we're here in the live chat. Paul Fiscarelli just joined us, too. Fiscap just said hi. And what are we going to talk about today, boys and girls? Anyone? Anyone?
CoCoFEST!
CoCoFEST! This is the last week we'll be together. At this time, next week, we'll be in the middle of CoCoFEST. Somewhere in the middle of CoCoFEST, or in the first third of CoCoFEST or something. But we will be, CoCoFEST will be in progress.
Yay.
We'll be high-fiving in person.
Yeah, the Coco cat needs to go out. Excuse me one second here.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for CoCoFEST, and I'm sure everybody else can't wait, too.
Yay.
Yes, we got to buff somebody's head this year as a new tradition.
No.
I don't know what you're talking about, Steve, but still, it's going to be a great time.
Is it the head or the belly?
Yeah, I'm not sure how well you can see my shirt right now, but I'll put it on big screen here real quick. Here's my new CoCoTALK After Dark jersey. Looking pretty good. It's kind of gray and black. I like it. And then here's my burgundy CoCo After Dark t-shirt.
Nice.
I like the After Dark, and I like this burgundy color too. But the jersey's really nice. The jersey is really very soft. It's very comfortable. It caresses my nipples. I like it. So
I wasn't going to order one until you said that.
This is the daytime show now.
I guess Steve has man boobs.
Yes, Tom C is here. Hey, Tom C. Hey, everybody. So yeah, my shirts came in. I like them. They smell funny when you first get them, kind of like David Ladd, right? You got to put some soap and water on them, and then they
Buff
kind
them
of.
up a bit.
Brand new t-shirt smells always nice.
Yeah.
Oh, come on now, Stevie. I'm not that bad.
So what I thought we'd do today is not be as formal, not be as structured, and just, it seems like this show started as being, a year ago. Our first 3 or 4 episodes were the few weeks leading up to CoCoFEST, and we literally spent an hour to 2 hours just talking about CoCoFEST. Now, because we talk about stuff so much during the week, and we're talking all the time, maybe there's not as much to talk about, but today I would love CoCoTALK to just focus on CoCoFEST. And if we run out of things to talk about for this year's fest, I thought we could also share memories of things like PennFest and Rainbowfest and other fests and other, CoCo-related social memories that maybe we've had from the past, and just kind of, get that spirit at an all-time high.
Woodstock. Just kidding.
I think we're doing good so far.
Yeah. So, now I know, Mikey, you are going to show us something today, which is, I'm not saying it's CoCo project, but it could be. And it's also related to CoCoFEST, right? So we'll get to Mikey's show and tell today. But how about we start off with who's going to be attending their very first CoCoFEST this year? Okay, Mark D. Overholser.
Yep.
And Mikey.
Me.
That's Richard Lorbieski. Ron Delvaux.
Yep, my first one for CoCoFEST, but not for Rainbowfest.
Oh, that's cool. See, that's something I would have loved to have gone to. It would have been a Rainbowfest.
I went to it before it was before the Model 3 was introduced in 1984. We only had CoCo 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing how much different that CoCo 3 or how much more that brought to the table,
Well, one thing about Rainbowfest, you got to remember too, when they talked about the numbers of people that went to it, is if you bought a 3-day ticket, you're counted as 3 people.
It was still thousands, though.
Yeah, it was still thousands, but you come up. We had 9,000 people. No, you had more like about 4,000 or 4,500.
Yeah, which is still impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the record, if I remember, was 12 or 14,000 by their attendance numbers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at probably about 6, because not everybody did attend every day. I know quite a few people that just drove in for the Sunday or the Saturdays.
I do remember giving a seminar about the upcoming Color Computer 3 and looking into the large room, and it was literally standing room only.
Yes, I remember that one too.
Wow. Yeah, I actually have to admit, I'm usually pretty good at speaking in front of crowds, but I did get a little nervous because even when I formed as a magician, I never had a crowd that large.
Wow.
Yeah, and even the CoCo breakfast, which you and Rick have both spoken at, they get quite full. There's hundreds of people in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the most infamous CoCo breakfast that they ever put on was back in Texas. That's where some marketing guy for Tandy decided to get up and talk about marketing in marketing terms. And everybody was falling asleep. I noticed there was a line for the coffee.
To stay awake.
Now, I do remember the one Rainbowfest breakfast, community breakfast, though, and it might have been yours, actually, or maybe Rick's. I can't remember who it was. But some people, Chet Simpson and a few others, were playing laser tag at the back of the room while people were trying to eat and watch.
I think I actually supplied the laser tag, too.
Hey, Boise Pete just chimed in the live chat. He says, ask Steve Bjork about his participation in the 1986 Princeton Rainbowfest CoCo 3 roundtable. And speaking of Rick Adams, he's joined us, too. Welcome to CoCoTALK, Rick. Glad to have you.
Hello. I'm back from the blizzard.
Well, the last thing I wanted to add in the story before we get off the Tandy Fort Worth Rainbowfest was when the guy said, in conclusion, there was actually a large round of applause from the audience. Yeah, it was definitely not the best breakfast.
Hopefully the food was good.
Yeah.
So what was the takeaway from the Princeton Rainbowfest CoCo 3 roundtable there?
Tell you the honest truth, I'm having a problem remembering. I remember going there. I remember giving a lecture, but
nothing notable happened.
Yeah.
I guess Boise will have to fill us in.
Yeah, there was a few of you there. Like I didn't go to that one, but I remember seeing pictures of it. There was a few of you up at one table at the front, all discussing your thoughts of the CoCo 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's released.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Kevin Darling roundtable at CoCoFest when the Tomcat and the MM1 and everything came out too.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're going back 30 years, or actually in this case, that one there was more about just under 20 years, it's kind of hard to remember all the events. That's the reason why if you go to a CoCoFest now, and you haven't been to one in a while, it'll seem new and fresh to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Just think if we had CoCoFest or Rainbowfest back in the 70s, we could all remember the kinds of clothes we wore.
Bell bottoms, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Woodstock. If you can remember the 70s, you weren't there type thing, isn't it?
Well, you know, there was kind of a computer Woodstock back in the 70s, and that was known as the Homebrew Computer Society. And I was just a young kid in high school, would drive up from Los Angeles to San Jose, Silicon Valley to go attend that one. And you saw people walking around that weren't famous yet, but would be at one day, like Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, and the founders of Adobe and all those other companies.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Woodstock. That was a computer version of it.
That's cool.
But I'm starting to see in the CoCo community a very similar effect. You see, back then everybody worked really hard together to come up with solutions. Somebody had a problem, somebody come up with a solution, and it was all about, hey, we've got a solution to this problem, and how great it is. And I'm starting to see that effect in the CoCo community very strong. I've watched a lot of projects get worked on in Discord, and the exchange of information and helping each other just reminds me of those hippy-dippy 70 days.
Yeah, it's not the capitalist owner. This is my trademark secret, and I'm not telling anybody how I did this type thing. It's much more of a sharing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I rode the wave with the companies coming in and corporate secrets and non-disclosures. I mean, when I worked on, for example, just how bad the non-disclosures were, when I worked on the DVD player, I couldn't talk about my participation for a decade. That's how long the disclosure was running.
Wow.
Yep. Well, even the OS9 Level 2 version 3 upgrade that Kevin Darling and Bruce Eisted and all the rest of them were working on, they weren't allowed to talk anything about it for 5 years either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing how corporate just kept everything squashed, and I'm really enjoying these days now where, as I said, it's like the hippy-dippy days back in the 70s. Everybody's working together.
It's all about furthering the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are really looking forward to this CoCoFest. I mean, when we go through the list of people, and I mean, the number of vendors is way up from last year, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Highest has been in multiple years.
We'll show that off in a little bit today.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say hi to Glen Hewlett, who just joined us. Hey, welcome to the program, Glenn.
Hey, guys.
Will you be attending CoCoFest this year, Glen Hewlett? I probably should see your name on the list if you have.
Yeah, I should be on the list. I am going to be there for sure.
Okay, good. And also, Rick, I know you are, I don't know if you want to share with us, kind of what you're going to be doing while you're at CoCoFest as we get to these discussions today. Today's episode is really, we're just talking about CoCoFest. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about things that we're excited about this year, things we're looking forward to this year, predictions, maybe share with what are you going to do at your table type stuff, and then obviously too, memories of fests gone past. So this is the kind of festive episode, if you will. So
yep, Rick's doing the live without a net.
Oh yeah. My hat's off to him. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably be way too distracted to actually get any actual work done. It'll just be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Be more like a demo.
Also, Steve Bjork in the live chat, John Lowry says, shout out to Steve Bjork. I remember playing with Bjork blocks back in the day. So there you go.
Yeah, I got the nickname for a little while like that at one of the CoCoFest of, it was a Rainbowfest, Blockhead.
Blockhead?
Yeah, Blockhead. Yeah, see that Blockhead.
Was that a term of endearment by any means?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Depends on the tone of voice.
Yes.
By the way, that product, I did not pick the name. The company that was going to market it wanted to have my name in there, and since it was kind of blockish in design for graphics, since it was the way you built the screens and did the animation, they went Bjork blocks.
You got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, never again, though.
You demanded creative control after that?
I just won't sign the contract.
Gotcha. That's wise.
Well, we do have an interesting problem this year at CoCoFEST. I don't even call it a problem, but growth, right? And attendance. And these are good problems to have, right? And so a number of us were on the most recent Glenside Color Computer Club meeting conference call. And we got to see the floor plan. And they're still juggling things, but the number of attendees and the number of tables, I think there was something like, exhibitors. And so an exhibitor is a generic term. Either you're a vendor who's selling something, or maybe you're just a person who's showing off a project, or, some Girl Scouts who are selling cookies. But if you have a table, you are considered to be an exhibitor. And I believe there was something like 33 exhibitors and a total of like 44 some odd tables in use. And if you've seen CoCoFEST in the 2 years I've been there, it's always been an even split where all of the exhibition took place in one room, and then the kind of speakers and auction took place in the other room. Because there are so many exhibitors this year, they've actually had to spill over exhibitions into the second room that used to be just for the speaking presentations. And then they've moved the presentations into like the center cafe. And so, actually, this is a good problem to have where there's more people than they planned. I think we're all predicting triple digits, 100-plus attendees. There's probably like 70 names on the website, and those are people who are out of town who are reserving. There's lots of local people who don't have to get a hotel to be there. So this should probably be one of the best attended CoCoFests in the past 2-3 years. And I think we can definitely thank 21st century technologies for that. Things like the internet and social media and the podcasts and this show. We've got a very loud megaphone on this event now, and it's starting to catch on, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who the hell's making all the noise, by the way? Somebody's moving furniture or doing something back there. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It sounds like a truck backing up. And I really notice this crap when I listen to the audio version of the show. Sometimes doesn't seem to be as much of a distraction when I have some video, visceral distractions too. But when I listen to just the sound and all I hear is somebody's freaking keyboard or whatever the hell's going on in their house, I'm like, wow, this is really a crap show, isn't it?
Remember, folks, that's what the mute is for.
We got 1,000 people here all over the world. I think we're doing okay.
Or an EMF blast.
An EMP. Oh man. So what else? What are we looking forward to? Rick Adams, do you want to give us a little teaser of what you were going to attempt to do for us while you're there?
Well, I've got my new game that I'm working on, but it's the closer I get to it being completed, the more I realize that it's not close to being completed. So I knew that it wasn't going to be ready for the show. That was a given. And there's no pressure, It's like, well, yeah, I'm not going to make it. Okay, fine. But it's, I'm probably fourth done with it. So I have plenty to do. But I'm not speaking this year. But I have a feeling that I'm going to be going hoarse because I'm probably going to be talking with people at my table and, what source code would you like to see? And, here's why I did this and all that sort of stuff. So it should be fun.
Excellent. People are going to get a peek behind the curtain of what it's like to at least how you develop at this point.
Right. Appreciate what a brave soul you are for doing this.
I'm looking forward to that. That should be neat.
Yeah. Yep. Are you gonna have a table, Glenn?
No, I'm unfortunately I don't have much to show. The Defender game. I had it at a point where it was kind of running, but crashing a lot and trying to narrow down the bugs because Defender is pretty interesting. It's like a little multitasking operating system. Finding these bugs is really hard. So what I've done is tried to scale it all back to certain points where I could find out little parts and what they're doing. So right now the even to show what I have running isn't very exciting to look at. But maybe I'll put a little bit together so I could bring it. I guess maybe somebody else could just run it on their CoCo 3 there, just to see a little bit of the game running, maybe.
Yeah, because the splash screens and stuff were working, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, that was good because there was no multitasking for those screens. It's once the actual game starts running, then it gets a little more hairy. So, but like I say, maybe I'll bring a version that at least some people could see it, the actual game running a little bit on the CoCo. We'll see.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Oh, Jim Brain says, greetings from the Midwest Gaming Classic. So Jim's on our field correspondent right now. Make sure you get some pictures and videos, Jim. That's cool.
He's also inviting people, please bring your Boys and Tech products by to fix.
Yeah, because he's manning his return booth there. Obviously, it's not shipping either, but
And Mr. Robot Shop just joined us. Hey, Mr. Robot Shop. He says hi, everyone. Yeah, it'll be good to see you again, Glenn. And we were just informed last week by Paul Thayer that you're now part of a little super group that's working on a project.
Oh yeah, I said sure I'll work on it, but haven't done much with it yet. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that should be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever we get into it some more, I guess.
Oh, still in the design stages, or?
Actually, like I say, I haven't done much with it, so I'm not even sure how far along Paul's gotten. So.
Yeah, it was somebody else's project, if I recall. I don't remember the name of the person, but I guess Paul's trying to jump in to help this person and get a few people together. Yeah. And I think he said Simon will then take a look at code snippets if they need to be optimized or whatever. And
oh no, self-modifying code.
So now, Mikey, you are going to be there, right?
Yes, we're going to be at CoCoFEST.
And are you going to have a table as a exhibitor?
No, I'm not going to have a table. So
Okay, Ron Delvaux is showing something off here.
The Dream Team.
Oh yeah, that was the picture you put together before the Color Computer Dream Team, right? When somebody put that out on Facebook. Wouldn't it be neat if we just got everybody together, right? And cool. All right, well maybe we can take just a pause for a minute, and we'll go ahead and let Mikey tell us about a little something he's working on. So this is kind of I guess you call it a world premiere, debut. Maybe it's news. It's a sneak peek, and it's CoCo related, and it has it's got a CoCoFEST connection. So let's go ahead and make Mikey big reel here. I'm going to switch over to a nice little graphic here that says news. Play some fancy music because this is a professional show. So hold on here just a second here, people. All right. Well, that's not that loud. Okay.
I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear anything. Did anybody hear that music? So that's not that loud.
Not unexpected.
Nope.
Oh, am I not sharing the audio anymore either?
All right. We haven't since the start. I don't think we didn't hear the intro either.
Oh, you didn't hear the intro?
No.
Oh, geez, TV dropping the ball.
Everybody's afraid to say anything.
All right. Well, anyways, welcome to CoCoTALK News, and we've got this just in here. We've got a special announcement from Mikey who's going to tell us about something. So, Mikey, why don't you take it away?
Hey, everybody. I think some of you guys know that I've been working on a DriveWire server written in Python, and I've been working on it for about 3 years or so. And last year I did a CoCoFEST release, and I'm also doing a CoCoFEST release this year. So that's the first item. And the second item is actually a world premiere of DW Term. So a number of episodes ago when Alan Huffman was going all, doing the modem stuff, I had actually written a terminal program that you run on a CoCo, and that terminal program connects over DriveWire. And you guys were saying, "Oh, nobody ever wrote that." Well, I wrote it last year. So these are my two pre-CoCoFest announcements, and I can give a little demo of these.
Okay.
So let me try to get that started here.
Now, is this a terminal program under Nitrous 9 or Fusix or RS-DOS?
It's RS-DOS,
okay,
because that didn't exist. So
an RS-DOS terminal that talks to DriveWire.
That's correct. All right.
And directly, no ESP chip or anything.
That's correct.
Cool.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can see my screen. I need to do a little switch. Need to do a little switcheroo over here.
Hey, that's a trademark product.
So right now, this window here, I'm actually at the console of the Python DriveWire server.
Okay.
And I can type any DriveWire commands here. So I just type the command dw disk show, and it shows what disks I have mounted right now. So it drives, this is just like the Java DriveWire server, in that it has 4 drives you can mount different devices to. I don't have a nice GUI for this yet. I was actually thinking about having a web interface. So you point your web browser at this thing and you can click on stuff and configure it, but I'm definitely not there yet. But at the moment I have Fusix loaded, but I'm going to get rid of that and actually load up the DW term. So
functional over pretty is always appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, functional.
To that one.
But I like pretty too.
Yeah, but I'd rather have functional than pretty.
Right,
Yeah,
so, I've been concentrating on the functionality. Disk insert.
Doing it web-based is actually a good idea, too, because that makes it cross-platform instantly.
It's not a CoCo project, but it could be.
Davey Mitchell has just joined us, and I think David Ladd's starting to drool from this already, so.
Yeah.
I have to get the name right.
Swallow, David. Swallow.
Guides are wrong.
I meant to drool.
There we are.
All right, so you just
Sorry
mounted
about
the
that.
disk.
Okay,
Okay.
I got the disk mounted finally. So I can go over here and run this guy.
And so this is MAME running a CoCo. You got the Becker port in here, so it knows how to reach the DriveWire server.
That is correct.
Okay.
So now I've actually, the disk that I've just mounted is a DW term. And if I go back over to the GitHub and look at the README, I have a whole bunch of different versions of this thing because DriveWire can support Bitbanger on CoCo 1 at 384, Bitbanger on CoCo 2 and 3, the Becker port, RS-232 pack, everything. So there are different disk images for that. I can write a little loader program, but I'm not quite that far along yet. So
Thank you for being so thoughtful.
What's that?
So
Thank you for being so thoughtful. All the different
you're going
platforms.
to do, so DriveWire terminal BCK would be the Becker port one?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. You even got a logical naming convention.
Sacrilege. No, I'm just kidding.
So this project was actually my very first project using the CMOC compiler.
Oh, wow.
I had heard all, John Linville and a bunch of other guys using it. So last year I decided, hey, I want to try, try doing something of my own. So this was, since I was already working on the Python DriveWire server, I decided that, hey, maybe a DriveWire terminal would be an interesting first project. So I've run it here, and one of the things that, one of the libraries that's available with CMOC is they actually have a pmode 4 terminal, which does VT52 emulation.
Oh,
so
neat.
even though I'm on a CoCo 3, I have different choices of what screen resolution I can use. So I can use number one is the CoCo 3, 80 column by 24, or I can use the P mode 4, or I can use the VDG screen. So I can just select that. Obviously the CoCo 2 and CoCo 1 versions won't have the first option. So I'm gonna pick number 2. And
nice.
This is that a little fuzzy?
A little bit, but that's okay.
All right. So at this, I can get rid of that if I can remember the option. It's like no filter or something. You want me to try that?
No, don't worry about it.
All right. Okay. So I can type any, like I was doing on the other screen. I can type any drive wire commands at this prompt. For example, DW disk show. So I was doing that on the other screen on the actual console of the DriveWire server. So the other thing that you can do from here is, because it takes any DriveWire commands, I can actually type AT commands to the thing, like so. If I ask what ATI is the Hayes modem command, Hayes modem command for what version is the modem. Have the software version, and the DriveWire server replies with its version. So I can dial out to something like for demos. I like using the ham radio call sign server because it's nice and easy.
Okay.
So type that guy in.
Now, while you're doing that, what I want to do right now is I want to try to connect a couple of dots in my head, because I've been trying to understand these things. A month or so ago, when Alan Huffman was showing off all of this stuff with his Z modem or Xi modem thing with all his Telnet stuff, we thought it was cool. And then, the CoCo crew says, yeah, it's neat, but you can also do that with DriveWire. And then I asked Alan, I go, well, what's the difference between what you're doing and what DriveWire does? And Alan says, well, mine does it in DOS, and DriveWire mostly does it in OS 9, and DriveWire typically needs to be hardwired, where mine is wireless. And so now what we're looking at here is of course, it's an emulator, but you're now using DriveWire protocol on a CoCo that's talking to a DriveWire server, and now you could basically do an AT/DT Telnet BBS over the DriveWire protocol instead of the Z modem type thing, right?
That's correct.
This is now combining what Alan did without DriveWire, and you doing it with DriveWire, but doing it in RS-DOS versus OS 9.
Right, that's correct.
You know what just happened? Let me just interrupt you real quick. You know what just happened here? The non-technical guy completely understands this technical thing.
Easy.
All right, I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that, because the village idiot learned something. Okay.
Right. So DriveWire has this thing called virtual serial ports built into it, and basically on Nitrous 9, I can actually demo that also. But Nitrous 9, you can open a port that's called /N, as in Nancy. And that opens one of these virtual serial ports. And when you open that serial port, which is the same thing that this program has done, you can type any DriveWire command, including AT commands. So the virtual serial port has built into it a mode that you can get into. If you type AT, you can type modem commands to it. And right now, that allows you to make telnet connections. So that's always been in there, and it's also in the DriveWire server.
Okay.
So, just as an example, I pulled up. I could actually go in this database and find other hams like myself or Boise or Jason, but I don't want to dock anybody. So I pulled up this is the ARRL, the Amateur Radio Relay League, which is a big ham radio club, probably one of the biggest ham radio clubs in the world. So I just pulled up their, address and call sign and whatnot. So, okay, so I need to reset this and redo it. Maybe I don't. Will it work? All right.
Nice.
So that's that demo. I am gonna reload it. and yeah, I didn't really have anything else to demo on this one, but maybe I should show the terminal emulation a little bit. I was trying to think of what would be cool to do that. Let's see if I can remember this. I'm gonna try to connect to. So if I connect to my local computer, and I'm actually making a telnet connection to my Mac that this is running on. I have a.
Yeah, that's your Darwin. That's your Mac OS. Yeah.
So demo accounts, you don't see. I have to switch this guy.
James Jones just joined us. He says, "Wow, ARRL has been around for 104 years."
Just see some characters.
So you're now telnetting back into your Mac through DriveWire server running in Python on your Mac.
The problem is I don't have a real CoCo sitting next to me, so I can't look at the keyboard to see what buttons I have to push. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So if I set the terminal emulation, then I can do something like look at what processes are running on my computer, good old top.
Yeah, this is really impressive.
It'll clear the screen, and I can do find some file. I don't know, whatever, right? That's enough for that one.
So we're looking at the front end and the back end that you've created both of. So you've created this terminal program for the CoCo in CMOC, and then you also created the DriveWire server running in the back end in Python.
That is absolutely correct, yes. So I have a full stack.
All right. That's awesome. That is really awesome. It truly
and
is.
I really thank you for writing this thing in Python and not in Java.
Yeah.
Java's got so many problems these days.
That's cool.
I really like Python.
Yeah, Python is a really, really awesome language. Just as an example, I don't know if you guys want to see any more. I could load Nitrous 9, I could load Fusix, and pretty much do the same thing in there. But
we can. That's fine. How about we do this? I'm gonna run a quick commercial break, and then so if you want to get that queued up and ready, I'm gonna run a commercial break, and then we'll be back. All right, and then we can do some Nitrous 9. So we'll be back in just a minute, folks.
CoCo Talk After Dark.
And the SD pack, and you're watching CoCoTALK. 3, 2, go.
What's going on, everybody? The Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and I want to talk to you about I'mACoconut.com. If you love the color computer like I love the color computer, then you got to visit I'mACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all of your Tandy color computer links needs. There you'll find links to blogs and podcasts and project sites and emulators and downloads and groups and communities. If you love the color computer, head on over to I'mACoconut.com. That's IMACoconut.com. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you. CoCo forever, people.
Well, those pictures were from last year's CoCoFEST.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the Tandy color computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
All right, well, Bruce isn't here, but I also wanted to show you guys this. What do you think of the updated sponsor graphic? Look at that.
Wow.
I spent I spent some time this morning updating the sponsor graphics. So the CoCoTALK show
colors.
is brought to you by CoCoVGA at CoCoVGA.com. It's also brought to you by Boyson Technologies at BOYSON BoysonTech.com. Hello. Yes, whatever it is. Yes. Now, whatever Boyson Tech makes, Retro Innovations will fix. So go to Retro for Retro Innovations. Find quality products on all your retro systems. Swag shop available at 8bit256.com. Let's not forget I'mACoconut.com. We saw that commercial here in just a second. I want to remind everybody, for example, for you, Mikey, your project, if you want to give me the link to that GitHub, I would actually be happy to put that on the projects page. I've got a list of everybody's projects, but I'mACoconut.com is only good when people give me more information to add to it. I try to keep it current. Obviously, we are CoCoTALK. If you need to reach us, we are at CoCoTalk.live. Also, don't forget that our companion show, the CoCo Crew podcast, available every month at CoCoCrew.org. All of our cool content is also created by Extructus Productions, our friend Brian Joyce in Australia, Nick's neighbor, maker of Best of CoCoTALK Volume 1, Volume 2, also What Did David Ladd Break This Week, just to name a few. And new sponsor to the show, something I'll show off today later on and something I'll show off at CoCoFEST, but the SD Pack at sdpack.com. That was a little video that David Ladd and I did recently when we updated the CoCo SDC, and you can now make an SD card boot up like a ROM pack, and it's pretty cool. So we're back with Mikey, who's been showing us some cool stuff, has been showing us his CoCo terminal emulator that runs in RS-DOS. He's been showing us his Python based DriveWire server. So what's next, Mikey?
You guys want a little Fusix or Nitrous 9? Pick one.
Let's see Fusix.
Yeah, let's see some fuzz.
Fusix hasn't gotten a lot of attention on the show yet, so
we need some Fuzzix. Fire up the Fuzzix.
Let's fire that guy up. What am I doing over here?
I posted a GitHub link to Mikey's site, GitHub on the chat on YouTube.
Okay, excellent. Got 26 people watching us right now. Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land.
Fusix requires 2 disks. Disk insert 0. Boot.
Nick, you mentioned you want to show off a little clip from PennFest too with Alan Huffman, who's not here with us today, so that's cool if you want to get that queued up.
Yep, it's all queued up.
Okay.
Okay, so we're all loaded up here.
Okay, and Davey Mitchell just said he's getting a 404 on that link. For whatever reason, YouTube seems to screw up links. Go ahead, Mikey.
Where did my other window go? Uh-oh. Hang on.
I don't think you're sharing. I don't think you're sharing screens
demo
anymore.
Fail here. All right, here we go.
Yeah, and you're not screen sharing at the moment either.
Oh, I didn't click the button.
There you go. You got to click that button.
All right. I'm sorry, I was doing stuff and you guys can't see it. But
Okay.
all that I did was I went over here and loaded up Fusix, which requires currently requires for running in an emulator you have to have a boot disk and a file system disk. So you put the boot disk in 0 and the file system disk in 1.
Okay.
And then when you power that guy up, so this is Brett Gordon's Fusix, what is it called? Fusix installation project. And it's a very easy way to build Fusix from source code. And it also creates this, it does the whole thing. It creates the kernel, it creates all the file systems, and it creates this this boot disk. So that's what's loaded here.
So it's official. It's called Fusix, not Fuzzix or anything else?
I call it Fusix, and the reason why I call it Fusix is because you don't call Unix Unix. You call it Unix.
There we
So
go. We
just
finally
put
have
an
logic
F in front
behind
of
it.
Just put an
He has a good point.
What? Usix.
It's not called Unix, huh?
Nope.
Oh, the N6IL he's saying is not showing up as a valid GitHub link.
Oh, I'll give you correct links.
Yeah, that's
when
fine.
I'm done
Go
with
ahead.
the demo.
Let's go ahead and see the
Yeah.
Fusix boot up here.
Let's get through this another 5 or 10 minutes, and then I can send those links out.
Cue the
Okay, so
crickets.
So I'm on the, this is the boot disk. I'm on name, so I'm going to select the emulated CoCo, and Red said he has a different, newer.
The computer's swearing at me right down there. It says F you.
F you.
All right. Shout out to whoever's slamming the door in the background there, too.
That's grand.
So Physics has, it doesn't have that. We get a process listing. It's like Unix.
It's like Unix on a CoCo.
Missing a character.
Does it support X Windows? I'm just kidding.
That's coming next year.
Yeah, whatever. We have to wait for this. Okay. So Physics also has a, just like what I showed before, it also has a drive-wire mode.
Drive-wire, TTL, ESP.
Yeah, what happened? Oh, looks like something crashed.
Look, I got a little dark blue on us there.
Failed.
I have no idea what it's doing.
Is this Physics or the latest version of Windows? I can't tell the difference at this point.
Kind of looks like a blue screen of death there, doesn't it?
Kinda. Wrong color, I think, though.
What did Mikey break this week?
Yeah, we need a new segment.
Okay. What did Mikey break this week? Welcome to Physics.
I have to ask Brett about that one. It looks like after the first program runs and crashes, then it continues booting or something. There's something a little messed up in here. But let's just try this again to see what happens.
All right.
Ease of use.
And then we're going to get on to Nick's. Okay, here we go. Demo boot disk. So now you're seeing what's in DriveWire through Physics. Yeah.
Right. I think it was exit. Okay. And Physics also has a little thing that Brett Gordon wrote, DW term. So we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did before. Type some AT commands in here. Yeah, it's actually working. So let's try connecting to this. I think that I spelled that right. So what happens?
BBS for Linux, huh?
So I'm connecting to a Telnet BBS.
No, it's got color codes in it too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Looks like I have some echo issues, but that's okay.
Or half
I think
duplex.
I can disable that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is working pretty nicely.
Yeah.
When I did this the other day, the cursor was like jumping around the screen all over the place, random stuff.
We've even got some ANSI, a little bit of ANSI going on here, huh?
We don't have the block characters in this font, so that would be
that's cool. That's cool. So everything that's happening right now is happening over DriveWire, and it's not running in Nitrous 9. So these are a couple of examples of how DriveWire can work without needing Nitrous 9.
I can prove that. One of the cool things I have in PyDriveWire is I have very good debugging. So it's actually, right now I turned on the first level of debugging. It's showing all of the commands that the emulated CoCo is sending across to the server. And if I wanted to, I can turn on actual byte level data display. I'm not going to turn that on.
Yeah, because anybody listening to this later is not going to know what that is anyways, as far as what's on the screen. So
unless Stevie reads every byte value out loud.
Yeah,
I mean,
here we go.
Yeah.
No, this is cool. This is very cool.
Yeah. So those are I think that's probably about it for demo.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
Do we have time for a couple of questions, or do we need to move on?
Is that program like Lynx?
Is the program like
part,
Lynx?
Lynx is a text web browser.
Yeah.
That's what that is, isn't it? Pretty much.
No. This terminal program that I'm running right now is actually a lot more like a standard terminal program, like Supercom.
Or term or something.
Term or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just that this particular terminal program I'm showing right now is running under Physics, and it's using drive wire over the virtual modem to do the communication.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's very cool. It's very, very cool. And we got lots of colors and stuff like that. So yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
It's extremely impressive.
Experimental OS using experimental drive wire system.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Good job.
Pretty quick.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. That's cool. Well, we want to get back to some more. And this is CoCoFest related because you unveiled this last year just before CoCoFest. Will you be showing this off at CoCoFest this year?
I don't really have a table.
Okay.
But if anybody's interested to see a more detailed demo, I could probably borrow some table space from somebody. And,
I have some that's available. I have 2 tables, and I don't know how much stuff I'll have. So.
Yep. David Ladd has a large lap too, so you could always sit on his lap and.
Stevie, I thought that was you that always had all the lap space.
All right, Coco Dog has joined us,
and I'll take away the barrier between me and Mark. So if it goes over into my table, yeah, we could do that.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's very cool. Good job there, Mikey. All right, so Nick Marentes, you said you wanted to show us a little little memory lane clip of PennFest 2000, I believe it was.
It's PennFest 99.
Oh, 99.
Yeah, it's one that a little short 3-minute video that Alan Huffman had done. I just thought, being a Fest episode this week, I thought let's get in the mood.
Yeah, let's see it.
I'll just share it. And let me know if it's if my bandwidth is a bit slow. So I've just got the window up.
Okay.
And I'll just turn on the sound so we get the full experience here.
Montage. CoCoFEST montage. PennFest montage.
PennFest montage. So here I go. About to hit play.
You gotta have a montage.
Yeah, if you can make the audio a little better. Okay, who's that guy? We can't hear anything now, Nick. But we can see it. Is that Sockmaster?
Yeah, that's Sockmaster.
Okay. Jim Davis.
Looks like Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. Yeah, I don't recognize some of these faces. This is 20 years ago, too, but...
It's Grizzly, yeah. It's Tony.
Is that Tony Pedraza?
Yep.
Hey, there's Glenside. Ah, look at that. Wow. And who's that? Is that Jason?
Nobody of any interest right there.
Yeah.
That's the CoCo Man. Jason the CoCo Man. Okay. We can't hear anything, but that's fine. We can see it. It looks good. Ah, look at this. Gatecrasher.
No Microsoft.
Yeah, looking good, looking good. Gatecrasher, new. And who's this guy here? I don't recognize the face.
I don't know him either. Off the top of my head, anyway.
Okay. Somebody's doing some type of
Mark?
solder work.
Yeah, it was Mark Millett. There's Nick on the
Okay,
left.
that was Nick on the left. Okay, who's this guy here?
Not sure.
Too bad we can't hear anything, huh?
Richard Albers is on the left there, but I don't know. That's Ron Bull, the guy who organized the PennFest.
That's the guy who did them, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just have the Bull's Barn website. There's Nick's book he's holding up, the interview book.
Okay.
Coconuts.
I think his name is Dan. I can't tell that by the
We know
name
that
tag.
much.
I don't know who that is.
Don't know either. Scott Grippentrog. think so. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right.
Okay.
Carl Bowl is my friend on Facebook, and he's a really interesting guy.
Yeah. Was that Nick talking there for a second?
Yeah, and showing
That
off
was me.
Raskin.
That was
Did
me.
this
Nick again. Okay. This is Come Guide to Be Ninja, the sprites for that. Or something.
Sabitha, that's Alan's.
Alan.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to hear this too. If you could put this in the Google Drive, maybe we can show this again. That's neat, Nick. That's cool. From '99, huh? PennFest '99. I didn't even know what a PennFest was back then. But that's cool. Very, very cool.
They were a pretty well attended fest. Those two, the two PennFests that I went to. There was one that I didn't attend to in '98, '97. I can't remember. But I attended the 1999 one, and I was one of the co-organisers of the 2000 one. And they were pretty good fests.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to believe back then at PennFest 2000 the CoCo was 20 years old, and even then, the fact that you got 100 people together to celebrate a defunct machine that was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Even then, that was pretty spectacular. But now we're going on almost 40 years old. PennFest 2000 was 18 years ago. It's hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of years from now, it's going to be 40th anniversary of the CoCo.
That's right. And you saw quite a few faces in that video that, we didn't know who they were or whatever. So that shows there's still potential to get a few more CoCo users back to the CoCo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they must be out there, so we can get them all back. Anyway.
James Diffin and Disney Saints fan is here. Hey, Disney Saints fan. James Diffendaffers in the chat. He says, hi. Hi, Mark. Power is still out, so I couldn't join. Okay. No power. That sucks.
And you also notice that Coco Man is still as ugly as ever.
Well, we can just buff his head a little easier now.
Coco Man's out riding a bike somewhere right now, probably.
Is he?
You bike riding today, Jason?
I've finished now. I'm on the way home now.
Okay. Very, very cool. So what else we want to talk about today, CoCoFEST wise? CoCoFEST.
Well, Richard Lorbieski, I know he wanted to show some stuff off, and I know his doesn't want to stay too
short on time.
Oh no, I don't have anything to show off. I was just going to make a quick announcement because some parts did come in.
Okay.
I will have available the Dragon adapters. So if you have a Dragon computer, you can adapt the Paragon joystick adapters to your Atari joysticks.
Nice. Nice.
And
That's cool.
They will be available at CoCoFEST. I will have plenty on hand.
Excellent. Excellent.
And the boomerang board you'll have there as well?
Yeah, the boomerang boards and the I'm calling it the Paragon, which is the joystick adapters. That's from the CoCo Tandy 1000 to the Sega Genesis gamepad / Atari / whatever, anything that's DB9 compatible of the Atari joysticks, except for the game paddles. Those are of course analog.
Cool.
We're seeing some of Rick's game here.
Nice.
I wanted to ask Richard a question before we move along.
Okay.
How do we, if we want to discuss asking you to do some work at the fest, how do we arrange that?
You plead and beg.
Yeah, and wave cash, that helps too.
And wave cash. No, actually,
real cash.
You can reach me at richard@boysontech.com. There's several ways. Or bring your CoCo. Or a CoCo related stuff, and just see me. I'd be more than happy to look at it, work on it, whatever you want to do. The main gist of that I'm going to be doing there is basically CPU upgrades from the 6809 to the 6309s. Put a socket in it, things like that. is probably going to be the main thing I'm going to be doing. And I'll also, if you buy a Boomerang board, I will also install those for free as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, just wanted to ask if it needs to be pre-arranged or if it even matters. It doesn't sound like you care. So thank you.
No, I don't care. Just bring your stuff up, and I'll work my way into it.
Yeah, I actually might want to have
it here first. Richard doesn't care.
No, I just don't care about you.
Wow, there's a lot of love in this room.
Get in line.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about something because John Linville is going to be selling his kits, the Game Master cartridge kit, but it needs to be assembled, and I don't know how to assemble, so maybe we could take that opportunity to put together a Game Master cart, maybe even do a video like we did before where we did a video of you changing the CPU. That'd be kind of cool doing a video of how to solder together a ROM cartridge and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah.
That's a good idea, actually.
Cool stuff. Yeah, I was actually wanting to get, the musical Farfall, which unfortunately is not going to be ready, but I do want to get my hands on that chip so I can hear it, and eventually when I'm able to start programming, I want to be able to try to play with it too. Cool. Very, very cool. So yeah, there's so much to do at CoCoFEST. I kind of like how it's broken up this year. We were talking about that on the planning meeting and everything else, but the things are spread out a little bit more now, I think, and so even the speaking slots are spread out a little bit too, because that's always seemed to be the challenge. So much to do, so little time, So I think the flow will hopefully work. I think there's a few things that we're gonna have to figure out when we get there, like. For me to live stream used to be in one room. So if I'm going to live stream the presentations, when it becomes auction time, if the auction's in another room, then I got to, move the laptop. Not the end of the world, but, little silly things like that I'll have to figure out. But the layout's going to be different, but it's all because of growth. And, I think it's great that we're going to have so many people there this year.
As you said before, it's a good problem to have.
Good problem to have, yeah. And Ron Delvaux, we get to meet Ron Delvaux in person.
Yes, you will.
Are you going to wear your flannel shirt?
I might.
And are you going to autograph access?
It's going to be cold there, isn't it?
Well, we do need you to wear the flannel shirt and have you play Timberman, so we can get some good photos of that.
All right.
Yep. And if I bring an axe, will you sign it?
Sure.
Why not? Disney Saints fan.
I'll be asking questions anyway.
So I'm going to switch to a full screen camera here for just a second because I do want to show you guys the CoCo SD pack thing because I think it's kind of cool. And what I also have that is kind of cool too is I have this custom 3D printed case that Tony Jimenez made. So if you guys can see the camera here, you can see the top of the case. It's got the Tandy logo. I'm not sure how well you can see this right now, but the word SD pack is kind of embossed in the lid here with the logo SD pack, and then the lid opens and it holds something like 10 SD cards in here, and he came up with a little template where you could take the artwork and squeeze the artwork down to where it'll fit on a label that fits on the SD card, and he came up with a little template where it still says Tandy on the top. And so it's kind of like taking the whole idea of
game cartridge.
A game cartridge, right? Because the CoCo SDC can auto boot an image, and then whatever disk image is in there, we can have basically an auto exec file in that disk and have that launch a binary file. So the CoCo SDC allows us to have a self-booting SD card, and so you can basically kind of make it like a ROM cartridge. It's not exactly a ROM cartridge, but it achieves the same thing with the benefit that you can actually, because it is a disk image, you can write back to it, which you can't write to ROM, right?
You can also make it a hard drive image if you want to make some huge adventure game or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ron?
We need somebody to make a micro MPI for it.
Yeah, we need a multi SD card changer, right? A whole robot carousel type thing, right? So, Oh, Jason, your brother Ken just joined us. He says that his connection is glitching, so my head's stuttering. I look like Max Headroom. So, you said the P word. Yeah, so, cool. So, yeah, I'll bring these to CoCoFEST, too, in case anybody wants to see them. That's a neat little show and tell thing. It's kind of cool. And so, yeah, I'm going to probably do a couple of videos of these where I'm going to play the games on them and just boot them up on a CoCo and play them and record them.
Now, is he planning on making it kind of a distribution thing? So if somebody else wants to make a piece of software and distribute it that way and doesn't want to take the time to make their own labels and stuff, does he want to offer that as a service, or is this just kind of a personal project for him?
Yeah, well, let me go back to the sponsor card here just a second. If you go to his website, he created a link called sdpack.com. He's got a handful of videos showing you like what Avery labels to use and what template to use. He's got where you can download. He's got everything templated, where he's got all the artwork already created, and all you have to do is just drag and drop in the cartridge cover. He's already got the word Tandy across the top. He's got all the dimensions figured out. I think he's got links to get the Avery labels if you want to get those. He's got links to buy a 16 megabyte SD card for like 99 cents off somebody on eBay. So, you know, this is the problem that you have now, is that if you want to just distribute one game on an SD card, your capacity is insane. So a small 16 megabyte SD card could hold what? Because what is a floppy, like 180 kilobytes?
153K format, 160.
Yeah, right. So it would take, well, it could hold like 1,000 floppy disks roughly, right?
Yeah, I mean, even King's Quest 3 only takes about 600K.
Right. So an SD card is massively overkill. But as you were saying, Curtis, it could be a hard drive, right? So it could be a larger game or whatever. So it's interesting. It's interesting that we can. And so Nick Marentes has mentioned this before, that the CoCo SDC is kind of like the world's greatest ROM cartridge, because you just pop in a thing and you can boot software and run software off of it. So in many respects, it is, right? We're getting trolled right now. I think we're getting trolled. Here we go. We got a guy named Hans Holtz in here. We're getting political. He says, support Trump, brothers. He is our president and our last savior. Trump equals Jesus. All right, that's kind of cool. Hey, thanks for joining Coco Talk and Trump Talk. And what a dipshit. Okay, somebody ban this guy from these. He's just blasting Trump out there in the text. One of my moderators, please ban him from the live chat. But thank you, Hans Holtz, for coming in here. And, you know, it's a free country. We're all entitled to our opinion. It's just we're talking about CoCo here. So very cool stuff. His messages have been deleted and redacted. Excellent. What else? CoCoFEST. Who else wants to chime in?
I'm just really looking forward to it. That's
Ken says, making CoCo Talk great again.
I'm just looking really forward to it. There's some faces that I've seen on the show here, or talked to over the FidoNet Echoes years back and stuff, or recently through the Facebook groups that I have not ever met in person, that I will get a chance to meet this year. So I'm really looking forward to that too. The general camaraderie, as Steve Bjork has mentioned, that everybody's much more sharing of projects and sharing information on how to do projects and stuff. So that's something else. I'm looking forward to all the chats after the official show is over each day.
Yeah. Hey, Grant, are you comfortable? We can't hear you.
I say yes, I am very comfortable, thank you.
All right, good. You're just like way laid back here, so it's
nice T-shirt too.
I'm gonna see if I could get you anything, or maybe just if I just like lifted one foot, you'd probably fall on your ass, and it might have been kind of funny. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's a good problem to have. If this problem continues, they might need to change the venue. And it's hard to think. Because I missed the first venue, right? It used to be in Elgin somewhere. I don't even know where that is.
It's been at a couple different hotels.
Right. And so now it's been at this Heron Point for a while. But I don't know if this year is going to be a fluke or if this is going to continue. But that might be something to think about, is for CoCoFEST 28 in 2019, where to move to accommodate everyone. It might be interesting.
Well, that's the thing too, is that they need to get the information up on the website about not so much where it's going to be at, but vendor registration, so they can get an idea of just how many tables you're going to need. Get that up early.
Plus, on the floor plan, isn't there that other room? I don't know if we have access to it this year. So maybe they can still use the current location for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that might be possible.
Yeah. Well, the overflow room is also the registration room and also where all the stuff is kept for the auction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's really good for the people that are in the overflow because really the overflow room is the first room to go to. I hope people coming to the show the first time, they walk into the reservation room there, overflow, and they go, gee, is this the whole fest? And not realizing there's another room yet.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's too many people literally to fit in one room, it is going to be split, and you wonder how is that going to work. But I think people will get their way around. However, what we should attempt to do here as a public service, like what you just mentioned, Steve Bjork, is that there's two sides to exhibitors, and make sure you visit both sides. One of them will be a little bit more dense than the other. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of people to see.
Hey! I don't think those exhibitors are that dense.
Only to Stevie. Remember, he's tech restricted here.
I'm
tech challenged.
I'm tech-tarded, yes.
We love you anyway, Stevie.
I was able to follow Mikey. So
that's right. You've upgraded to level 2 now.
Level 2. That's it. So.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Words I thought I'd never say. Stevie made it to level 2.
Ken is asking, is there a shuttle bus for the fest? There is not an official one. I've got an unofficial ride from the airport myself. So, yeah, whatever airport you come in from, you do need to secure your own transportation, rental car, Uber, arrange with somebody who's already at the fest.
Yeah, we should get Wayne Campbell to come up. Since he's an Uber driver anyway, he can actually make some money at the fest.
Right.
Help offset the cost of his trip.
Yeah. I'm sitting here looking at this. I need to show it off again.
Hey, Boise Pete.
This damn shirt looks good. I like the After Dark shirt. I'm not going to lie. So for those of you who want to get a cool shirt, you might want to. I'm going to be wearing this at CoCoFEST, as seen at CoCoFEST. The CoCoTALK After Dark new T-shirt, available in a variety of colors. And
now, is it burgundy because you spilled a lot of wine while you were drinking on the
show? No, it should have been beer colored then at that point. So now we do have a question. Why did Tandy do that, or why didn't Tandy do that segment? So maybe we'll take another commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll do the why did or didn't Tandy do that, and we'll continue this riveting discussion of CoCoFEST today. All right, so we'll be back in just a few, people.
Make it so, number 1.
Welcome to Around the Garage. This is it. This is the place. This is where you should be. This is where you should tune in because Stevie Stroh has a great show. It's called CoCoTALK.
What's going on, everybody? Stevie Stroh, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to CoCoTALK. We love doing this show. We think we put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me. It's Original Gamer Stevie Stroh. Gameplay. To get your copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD today, head on over to 8bit256.com. There you will find several DVDs featuring color computer gameplay videos by the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh. So to get your very own copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD, head on over to the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com and tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you. And what a perfect segue. What a perfect segue, because that's going to be my project this year to available at CoCoFEST. Is going to be these. And I don't have the revised discs in, but this is what the package looks like. This is the best of CoCoTALK Volume 1 and Volume 2. And so, this is my third CoCoFEST, and I've been sitting here thinking, I want to have a project to show off. Everybody's got these projects they're working on. It's been a crazy year. I haven't had time to do a project, but when you think about it, CoCoTALK kind of has been my project this year. Just, having this show every week. And literally, we're on episode 54 right now. In over a year, we have not missed an episode other than like Tandy Assembly, where we didn't have an official CoCoTALK episode, but we still live stream. CoCoFEST, we still live stream. So in over a year, every single Saturday, we have brought to the viewing public some form of retro infotainment. So I think that is a project, right? It's not doesn't require soldering iron. It's not coding, but it's still a retro project, and it's a community-based project because we're all in it. We're all a part of it. So, and Brian Joyce compiled those 2 episodes, the best of Volume 1, the best of Volume 2, and then we recorded we recorded an exclusive episode for this package. So that's going to be my project. These are going to be available, and I wanted to squeeze it all in one disc, but it wouldn't fit, so I had to do it on 2 discs. So the price is going to be I think 2 for $15. So it's not bad, right? So what Retro says we missed 1 week. What week did we miss?
When you were off at the Retro event in Florida. Okay,
but we live streamed that, so it still had something, right? So even when I'm not doing the show,
and we recorded one in the evening.
Oh, so maybe we did a pre-recorded one. So so even on the weeks where it's not a live CoCoTALK, there's either a live stream or a pre-recorded show. So technically, we haven't missed a week in at least providing something. So, I look back and I say, man, there's so many things I started or wanted to do that I just haven't had time. But the one thing I have been able to do, at least, is this show. And once CoCoFEST is over and my new schedule allows me more time, I am looking forward to getting back to more CoCo projects. So, so there you have it. So we are now going to go on to our why did Tandy do or not do that. So here, let's get this cool little picture and let's hear some pretty music.
Tell me why did Tandy do that?
All right, so since we are talking about CoCoFEST and we're celebrating CoCoFEST, Mr. Steve Bjork, what question do we have today for why did or didn't Tandy do that?
Well, it's kind of interesting, and it's definitely a why did Tandy not do something, and that is why did they not hold their own computer show even back in the days when they were selling, the TRS-8, whether it be, all the Tandy computers, or why they didn't do one for the CoCo. Why did it take Rainbow Magazine to come up with a Rainbowfest on the machine? And kind of interesting about the way Tandy thought about how they're doing things. Tandy was the manufacturing arm. They created the computer and like that. But Radio Shack, believe it or not, was the customer to Tandy. Tandy did not sit there and think about the people that ended up with the computer. They thought more about how they could get it in the stores and how they could best get the stores to order more. They were the customers. And so if they were to do a show, they would do a show for other, for the Radio Shack people. In other words, their focusing was very, very tight on how they did things. And that's one element. The other thing, too, is Tandy also works as every division its own profit center. Everything must make money. The lawyers, they make money by billing the different divisions. And of course, the way Tandy made money was selling the equipment to the Radio Shack stores. It was up to the Radio Shack stores to make their own money by selling it to customers. Now, some Radio Shack stores on their own or through the district did actually have booths at Rainbowfest, and they would sell equipment. And I remember one year they had discontinued the plug-in power unit for the CoCo, which only worked on the CoCo 1 and 2, not the CoCo 3. So they were pretty much giving away at $5 a pop, and by the end of the show, they were just giving them to people as they walked by.
Oh, wow.
They had to get rid of that excess inventory that was sitting in the Chicago area. So, yeah, it's interesting how the company was set up, and that's why they never did things. Of course, even Apple, we've heard of shows that Apple was involved in that were done by, what was it? What was the magazine?
Macworld?
Macworld, yeah. But that was not an Apple show. They worked with them on it, and then eventually they gave up on it. And like that. So there's kind of a track record for companies not getting involved in doing that now. Some companies have started to realize that there's a good advantage in doing that. Disney now has something called D23, which is a official Disney fan club. And you can become a member, and you can go to the D23 Expo and see Johnny Depp come out as dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow on a ship, and or you could see the Muppets performing on stage, and they're in something that looks like a Steamboat Willie's Mark Twain unit come out onto the stage. So you got to see rather impressive stuff at the show, and that's an example of how the modern companies are doing it. But the other thing too is the companies also feel that a website is sufficient these days for doing marketing like that. So, yeah, but in the case of Rainbow, the reason why they did do the Rainbowfest is they had all these third-party people advertising in their magazine, and if they put on a show, it puts those people in front of actual CoCo users, and they're able to sell their product to their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually made sense for Rainbowfest to be done by Rainbow Magazine. And they weren't the only company. I forget which magazine it was, but back in California, they were co-sponsor of
Color Computer Magazine.
Yeah, Color Computer Magazine co-sponsored Color Expo '87, I believe it was, with a local computer group that was out in California. So it was
that was Ken Lakeman, or I can't remember how to pronounce his name. His magazine.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see that, yeah, it made sense for the third party, but didn't make sense for Tandy the way Tandy was put together. So
now, how much involvement did the Radio Shacks that actually did present at these shows? Like, was it just the local franchisee that was there, or was it they officially a Tandy representative, or how did that work?
It was, I believe, official Tandy-owned store of Radio Shack. And I think the highest it went up was the district manager as far as being involved. But it was not corporate, definitely no Tandy involvement, except for maybe handling some requests like shipping extra units of that plug-and power unit out to the fest so that they could get rid of it, the inventory.
I do remember, like, once you'd gone to a couple of Rainbow Fests, you'd kind of hold out, like if you saw that stuff was not moving too fast at the Tandy table of any particular specific item, you'd wait till Sunday because they didn't want to take any of it back with them to the store. So the prices would be dropping on Sunday until they could sell them out.
As I said, they were literally, I walked by the booth and somebody just shoved it at me. They just did not want to take it back. And I think they shipped something on the order of 10,000 units of that plug and power to the show.
Something like that. I do remember, like, sound speech packs at one fest were down to like $15 or $20.
Yeah. And I remember they were giving so many away. I took 3 of them or 4 of them home with me in my suitcase. It was just unbelievable what they were doing. I felt sorry for the people that paid $5 at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. And of course, they had that friendly competition with Computer Shack in the early years too, which they ended up suing, and they had to change their name to Mictron because they not only sold software like Time Bandit and Cashman, they also sold hardware. They were a reseller of Tandy Radio Shack equipment. So they'd have a big Computer Shack booth on one side and the Radio Shack Tandy booth on another side, and they'd be having competing price wars, selling CM8s and CoCo 3s and whatever else. So you got some pretty good deals at Rainbow Fest.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation that was going on. I was sitting there on the Tandy side looking at stuff, and it's like, I'd go up to Barry Thompson and ask him, well, is there anything you guys are going to do for the upcoming Rainbow Fest? And they go, oh, that's coming up. I don't think so.
Wow.
It's just, they put their marketing in what they need to do, so they sold to the stores, and then the stores would figure out the best way to get the sales to the customers.
But Barry and them did show up to Rainbowfest once in a while, didn't they?
Yeah, they occasionally would show up. They'd come out, see what's going on. See, that's the thing is, Barry Thompson, Mark Siegel, those guys, they understood the real customers were the people buying the computer. They understood that on that level, but their bosses did not.
Yeah, because I remember them being there, like the CoCo 3 announcement. Like a few of them were out for that announcement. So
yeah, they were hoping it would do well, and and of course, a lot of people keep forgetting that the only reason why they got the right to build the CoCo 3 is that they could design the CoCo 3 so it was cheaper to manufacture than the CoCo 2. It's just like, okay, that's why you got a new computer. It was cheaper, not because it was better.
That became a bonus. Yeah.
There's a nice feature thrown in there, but that's the reason why they were such a stickler for not putting a sound chip in there, because the sound chip would have rose the manufacturing cost of the computer to the point that it was costing more than making a CoCo 2. And I kept hearing those reasons in the design. I kept rolling my eyes and going, if I could just get in there and talk to the VP and just shake him and just try and get him to understand, that you put this 50-cent part in and you're going to get, X-fold improvement in the quality of product on there, which is going to also mean more sales. Yeah,
X-fold customer increase.
Yeah, but they very, very much blinders on it. It's what price they could sell it to the stores was important to them. But,
so it almost sounds like if Tandy had a show, it would have been a trade show, and not a consumer show, because as you mentioned, that to the Tandy Corporation, the customer was the store, and to us, we were the customers of the store, so we were almost the third tier market.
Exactly, and if they were to do something, and they did this kind of regular, you had franchisees, and the franchisees could come to Fort Worth for the franchise show, and sometimes they would do franchise functions throughout the states, and like that. And of course, they would, over in England where they had the stores, and over in Australia, they had their own little things that they did to promote franchise operations and like that. But,
now, did Tandy officially show up at the big trade shows like Comdex and stuff? I don't remember seeing them, but mind you, I didn't go to Comdex till
no, they
fairly
didn't
late.
go to that because they had their own marketing system.
Okay.
They might have considered it if it wasn't for the important fact that in a major market, they do company-owned stores. In the smaller markets, that's when they had the franchises.
Because I didn't know if they'd tried to do anything in 82, 83 when the TDP, because that was the one they were distributing through, what was it, RCA dealers? Mm-hmm. Tandy Distributor Products is what that stood for, and I didn't know if they had done some marketing differently because of the way that particular machine was sold.
Once again, they concentrated on the fact that they were selling to a distribution system.
Okay, so basically the same rules applied.
Yeah. They very rare. Tandy itself very rarely got involved with the consumers, and I guess they kind of liked that, insulated them from it, so they didn't hear the complaints.
Now, the one Rainbowfest that was actually in Fort Worth, did Tandy take an active role in that?
Yes, they did.
I know they had tours and stuff. But.
Yeah, they took active role, but as I was mentioning earlier, they got the wrong guy to do the keynote.
Oh, that was the one with the marketing spin?
Marketing!
Yes. I felt so sorry for him when it was just so classic. This was right out of somebody's comedy movie or something. He goes, in conclusion, and everybody broke out in uproar and like that. And I'm sitting there shaking my head and going, I know we all wanted this over, but we didn't have to go to that extreme. And I mean, it was just like some celebrity had walked out on the stage. That's how everybody reacted when he said that. And so, but it was the one and only held in Fort Worth. It was the least attended show because everybody was going to have to drive in so far. Chicago was one of the best attended shows because it was easy for a large population of people that had CoCos to go there. We're talking Midwest. Everything's close by there. PennFest, I mean not PennFest, but the ones they'd hold in Princeton were fairly good attended, but still they were only pulling from the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
Where Chicago could pull Midwest, Eastern, and a little bit from California. California
and
also.
Canada. I mean, most of us went to the Chicago one, none of the other ones because it's too far.
Yeah.
And Color Expo in California, same thing, except you'd be pulling the Western Seaboard, basically.
Exactly. It's kind of like here in California, they built a park called Pacific Ocean Park to compete against Disneyland. But Disneyland's a little ways inland. So you have the whole area around the park to bring people in. But in the case of this Pacific Ocean Park, well, there's nobody you can pull in from the ocean side. So everybody's coming in from the other side. And typically, as it gets harder and harder to drive in Southern California, you had less and less population willing to drive to Santa Monica for this, or Venice for this park, and it died. And that's exactly what happened in California, is that, yeah, you could get the California guys. Also, Tandy didn't have a great reputation out here like Apple.
Yeah. So, and I think the Pacific Northwest CoCoFest, which ran for a few years in, was it Seattle or Portland or somewhere around there anyway, it was the same thing. You just got the local people like from Vancouver and
exactly.
Washington, Oregon, etc. So
yeah, population's too low out here, even if you include British Columbia. No.
Yeah. There was a couple shows out there, but
yeah, that's the reason why the very last Rainbowfest was held in Chicago. And of course, the club just couldn't let it go. They had to do one last CoCoFest. The last annual, or just the last CoCoFest. That's what it was called. They had to do that, and then they had to do another year.
Yeah, and the first one was actually sponsored by Coco Pro. Dave and Nancy Myers kind of pulled that one together.
And then they had to do another year. Then they had to do another year. And I'm not going to go on for 26, 27 years, but it's amazing that how long this show has managed to stay together.
Yep.
And now increasing in size again.
And this year growing.
I just remember being about 5 or 6 years out, like the 6th or 7th annual last CoCoFest. And I'm going, wait, this thing's been longer than the original Rainbowfest in Chicago.
Yeah.
Stop calling it the last one.
Right. Yeah,
that's kind of the in-joke now.
The running joke, yeah.
Is there any other group or computer group that has been running this long?
Apple.
Has?
There's a couple of independent shows. They may have not run continuously because...
No, Kansas Fest has been continuous.
Oh, it has been good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is... this CoCoFest just keeps going and going, and as long as there's people starting up new again in the Chicago area to help run it, it might be a bit longer.
Yeah, it would be nice to see this at least, in two more years. And I can't see why we can't do this at least 2 more years. But in 2 more years, it will be the 40th anniversary of the color computer. And that would be CoCoFest 29. Right? Yeah. So that in itself is a pretty good milestone. It would be kind of neat if we could get another PennFest, because like how the PennFest 2000 celebrated the 20th anniversary of the CoCo, it'd be kind of neat for the 40th if there could be another PennFest, or maybe move it to Pennsylvania or something. I don't know, but as long as we're all together celebrating the CoCo on its 40th anniversary, I think that'll be a cool thing.
Well, the only problem is when you get to the 50th anniversary, the people that actually were involved with the CoCo when it first came out ain't going to be around much more. It's going to be all the youngers that came along on the CoCo and like that. I mean,
we need to dump our minds to AI somewhere.
I mean, when I was doing this CoCo stuff, I was pretty young. Now I'm 60. So it's like... yeah. It just hangs in there.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's good that we're getting new blood infused, because then it'll keep going. Because if it's just the die-hard old people, like it used to be, like probably the last few that I went before my hiatus, it was starting to just be like a group of friends meeting. There wasn't that much new happening.
Right.
And now we've got this infusion of people that are either coming back or are just getting introduced to the first time through the retro community and getting interested enough to actually produce hardware and software and stuff. So the new blood is needed as well. I think we need both as long as we can.
I mean, when we mix everything together, that's going to be new and fresh at the CoCo. This is the most new and fresh. I mean, this is more new and fresh stuff than what's probably come out in the last 5 years. In this this one last year since the CoCoFest, a lot of people are doing some stuff, and it's okay. I'm going to use an old term. It's pretty nifty.
It's exciting.
Well,
Okay,
it's
you
wait
took
for,
my comment there.
Can't wait for CoCoFest after 70.
Let's not push it.
And the CoCo on a walker.
It's red.
Well, what I think is neat too, and it's just kind of poetic, but this year the theme is fusion, and it's talking about mixing the old and the new, because we have new hardware, we have things that are like the hardware-based emulators, and so the theme of CoCoFest is mixing the old with the new, and I think we're actually seeing that in CoCoFest itself now too.
Yep.
Because this is the first year where we're doing things like, well, you can pre-register via PayPal. You can now bid on the auction using a credit card, things like that. So we're actually getting some fusion now into the actual event. So I think that's kind of cool,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just did want to mention something that Ken Can Make It said earlier, and it's interesting in regards to having 2 rooms at the show. Are you going to have both? Are you going to have access to both rooms, or do you need to buy a park hopper pass like at Disneyland?
Yeah. Yep. It's the
we'll
one
have
and done.
segues so you can go between the rooms.
Yeah. Right.
But I will say this: one room is going to be a lot louder, not because it just has a lot of vendors in it. You've got Alan Hoffman, who's going to be next to me in his booth, and he's going to be demonstrating Sir Sound. Across the room, you're going to have the Game Master cartridge being demoed. And in my booth, I'm going to have all sorts of interesting animatronic stuff going on. With
don't forget,
lots
Brian
of voice.
Schubring will have his whole MIDI setup going, too.
Yeah,
so.
the music man will be there.
In the corner. And then Bruce is going to be demoing his games that have a lot of audio in them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
CoCo
his
Forever.
CoCo Forever, yeah. So, the other overflow room, that's actually going to be a room you can go in and sit down and have a moment of zen. The other room, you're not going to be able to have good conversations going on. It's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of noise in there.
Just wait till the Saturday night jam session.
Mm-hmm.
I can fix the noise level in the second room real easily.
Where's the circuit breaker?
We'll need the cones of silence.
Yeah, Ken says it's going to be in the nap room.
Yep.
What was that, Curtis? I saw your mouth move, but I couldn't hear anything.
Yes. So yeah, it's going to be the best CoCoFest. I don't know if ever, but the best CoCoFest in the past several years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely the excitement level and the participation is way up.
What would have been the best CoCoFest ever, do you think, if you had to guess, since I've never been to? This is only my third one.
CoCoFest, or are you including Rainbowfest and
let's just focus on CoCoFest right now. So there's been 24 CoCoFest before I entered this scene. What do you think was probably one of the probably the first one, I would imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite for me personally was the first year that Nitrous 9 really took off as a product, and we sold out everything we had the first day. And I had to go buy discs from other vendors, and then I had to go rent the copy machine from the hotel and print 30 manuals that are 40 pages long each just to get enough product to sell the second day. Sold out again. So for me, that was the most exciting for us because Nitrous 9 took off that year. But there's also been times like when there's been announcements like when Donkey Kong got first showed by Talkmaster and stuff, and people were just wowed.
Yeah.
So certain product announcements, I think, are big things too that really, separate other shows from when those products were announced.
When did the SDC first show its face?
2013, I think. Maybe 2012.
Mm-hmm. Was it?
It was only it's only a year and a half before Ed started making them in mass production.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty recent.
I'd still say somewhere around the 7th year thing, people were surprised. This show is still happening. It's got a lot of people attending, and they were, every table was full of stuff. And the thing that was still remarkable, too, was the amount of stuff that was donated for the auction. I mean, the auction went on for hours.
Yeah. I think there was a fairly good attendance and a fairly exciting AR2 when the CoCo 4s were all out. I mean, none of them ultimately succeeded because they couldn't get enough market share to do it, but there was a lot of excitement over those machines.
Mm-hmm.
MM1 demonstrating over here, TC9, TC70 over here, the System 4 over here. And friendly competition, too, for the most part. I mean, they actually created the K-Windows thing that actually would work between several of the machines, and some of the software was like the 6809 emulators for OSK was actually ported between all three of the machines, so you could run some of the old CoCo Level 2 OS9 stuff. So there was a cooperation there, but there was also some pretty fierce competition between them as well.
Yeah, I missed out on that whole part, too, of the possible future, next generation CoCo. I was out of the CoCo by then, so
yeah, and that even Rainbow covered those. They had a cover dedicated to each of the three main systems, and then write-ups on each one at the time.
Well, even right around the time of PennFest, the CoCoFEST was doing pretty good, and it was interesting to go to those at that time. But the reason why PennFest came into existence was the fact that you had another show that was still going on, still working, still attracting people, and he figured, well, if we get a little bit more to the East Coast, it should be well attended. Besides, he wanted to go to a show where he didn't have to spend a lot of time driving.
We've just been joined by Wayne Aaron, who says, hi, everyone. Hey, Wayne, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
Something we can't get from Radio Shack at our CoCoFEST would be what I'm showing on my screen.
A 64K color computer. Regular price of $199.99 for the show. $99.
In 84.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was cool to see.
That must have been the Sunday before they had to take them all back to the store.
Yep.
And there's a Radio Shack TV.
Ah, yes. Look at that. Who would ever need more than 64K anyways? So.
I do remember those Sundays, though, because the Radio Shack booth would not want to haul anything back, and the prices just kept dropping till the end of the day.
The longer you wait, the better the deal, huh?
Yeah, but you risk they'd sell out.
Yeah.
They weren't going to be bringing any more in.
Yeah. Hey, CoCo Man is here. Welcome, CoCo Man.
Hello, hello. Finally with some quality video for once.
Yeah, and look at that banner behind you there, CoCo Man.
Yeah, nice banner.
Almost look like you're at the show already.
It's like a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, I've got my CoCoTALK T-shirt. I've got my banner. I just got to get there.
I'm leaving on Thursday morning to start driving my 22 hours. So.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Ken says, I wrote my high school term paper on color script shit after I convinced my dad to get an 80-column printer. Wow.
Good move.
I remember we had a DMP 133. I remember that before we had the old TP10 at that thermal printer.
The toilet paper 10, as we called it?
Yeah, that's about that. It was, you print something 2 days later, it turns brown.
Wow.
Yeah. But it came out little toilet paper rolls of paper, too, so we called it the toilet paper. That's what TP stood for us, anyway.
Of course.
You guys are so critical.
But, Stevie, I just noticed something. Maybe the other people in the didn't catch on it. When you came to the word scriptset, you said something else.
Freudian slip. Freudian slip.
I think you may be, the problem with one of the syllables. Maybe you're wrong emphasis. The wrong syllable.
I'm sorry, there's not an invisible H in there.
Well, it was visible.
No, it was audible.
I never used scriptset much, to be honest. I fiddled with it in the store, but at that time I'd already seen the original Telewriter, the original 51 column only version, and it was like, no, I'm not going to use scriptset.
It was my least favorite ROM pack growing up.
Imagine getting that for Christmas, like a grandparent bought it for you, thought it was a game or something. Here you go, Sonny. Here, play this scriptset game.
Yeah. After that, you could try Spectaculator.
You didn't mention Math Tutor.
One of the script sets was done by Dale Lear, wasn't
it? Did he do one of the disc ones?
Or the second color script set too, or was that Steve? I can't remember who did this.
I think it was the second one.
I did color file too.
Oh, color file too. Okay.
Yeah, Dale did script set too.
I think Robert Kilgus did script set 1, if I remember.
Yes, I believe so.
And Robert did some good stuff. Like skiing, actually, was a pretty impressive game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so they had Dale take out. Dale had put in a number of features into scriptset that they had him take out because it was competing with something else. So he said,
I don't know what did Radio Shack have, or maybe competing with a different machine, but I don't see anything word processor wise that Tandy sold that would have.
Yeah, right.
Don't want to be better than the Model 2?
I mean, Home Publisher, I guess, lets you mix. Yeah, Home Publisher lets you mix graphics
at the end. Which I find hilarious. At the end, they said, "Well, we got some spares. Now we got some spare space on the cartridge. So why don't you program it to put up your face, like the Color Computer 3 does?" And he says, "Well, I'm not doing that."
I'm surprised they asked him to do that, considering how ticked off they were at the original faces.
Yeah, that was what I found ironic about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has the Missouri license plates up there?
I don't know. This was at the '84 CoCo Rainbowfest, and I was going out to the parking lot, and I noticed the plate, so I took a picture of it.
Wow.
Somebody was serious.
Is that Steve's car?
No, wrong Steve.
It's a Chevy van.
That's Missouri.
Yeah.
Wow.
1984.
Besides, it doesn't say 6809er.
That's true.
Yeah, that was Steve's Delphi handle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Mine was boring.
Getting back to the scriptset, did scriptset 2 support a higher res screen at all, or graphics, something to get past that 32-column checkerboard look of scriptset 1?
I know Disk Scriptset did it. Used the graphic screen to do the lowercase text.
Disk did, yeah. Just wondering what the big improvement was in scriptset 2 that Dale might have put in. I thought maybe he put the high-res screen in that one.
I have no idea. I never used it.
Yeah,
because that was the worst thing about scriptset. It was just a terrible screen to type on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I used either Telewriter 64, or VIP Writer at the time. And then, for the CoCo 3, I think I used Word Power and Max 10.
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything productive at all on my CoCo, so
word
processor's not a problem.
I eventually ended up with I think it was called Simply Better for the CoCo 3.
That was a pretty good one too, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a mouse-driven one, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
One of them ones, I can't remember which one it was now. One of the word processors of the CoCo 3 was specifically mouse-driven besides Max 10.
Is that Pen Pal?
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That's a nice shirt there, Jason.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
So how many of you guys typed in the basic line that gave you the ability to type and go right to the printer?
To use your printer as a word processor?
Yeah,
like as a typewriter?
typewriter. Yeah. I did it.
Oh, that was Lonnie Falk's first program in the very first newsletter Rainbow too, wasn't it? Basically, line input and then print number -2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of had to do something like that. I had this weird device called a typewriter.
Manual or electric?
What's that?
No mystery
Actually,
there.
it's pretty fancy. It would actually save stuff too.
Oh, that is a fancy one.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old manual one where if you hit 2 keys on either side of the keyboard too fast, they would just jam up the arms and they'd get stuck, and then you have to unpeel them back. And
Oh, my typewriter was daisy wheel.
Oh, fancy schmancy.
Yeah.
That's almost a printer. Then you're cheating.
Actually, it did have an option of parallel port, so it could print too.
Oh, yeah. Then it was a printer.
A typewriter with a daisy wheel and memory.
And memory and a parallel printer
Parallel
coming
interface.
in on it. Yeah.
Next, you'll be telling us it had a screen and.
It was the best $300 I ever spent on.
Wow.
Well, see, what I would do is I would print out of the computer the manual, and then I could Xerox this thing, and it actually had clean printed letters instead of the stuff that you got with your
Matrix.
Matrix
Dot
9
matrix.
head print, print head.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the 24-pin print heads, like some of the Epson stuff had, those weren't too bad. You could do graphics and stuff too, but yeah, the daisy wheel just looked clean.
The Panasonic 24s look really excellent.
So I got a question.
Mhm.
A question that it might lead to a prediction. Since, I mean, some of us have met in person, but a lot of us haven't, and this year is going to be the first year we're all going to be together. What are your predictions going to be when we first meet, what that real world chemistry is going to be like? You think we can keep this in a bottle when we're all together in the same room and have the same level of chemistry and camaraderie? You know, sometimes people are more comfortable speaking on the phone than they are in person and things like that. But you think if we all get together, it's going to be, just
I think
as
it'll
good?
either be a massive cat fight or it'll be a massive bonding exercise after everybody buffs David's head.
Grant better bring 40 pounds of popcorn.
That was the thing I was going to say is do bring your sunglasses because the light glaring off of his freshly buffed head
come on
is
now.
going to blind everybody.
I'm bringing a fire extinguisher now.
David, you're going to be the most popular guy at the whole show.
We need to be nice to David now. Come on now.
There'll be bigger lineups to see David than to see Steve.
Look at Ryan.
What we
Got
need to
sunglasses
do
on.
is get a nice group picture
Yeah.
with everybody, in front of the herring while everybody's buffing David's head. That's going to be a beautiful bumper picture for the show.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bow out right now because I'm going to go see what the blizzard's doing out there.
All right, Rick. Thanks for being here. We're very
So I'll see you party Animals later.
yeah,
See
and
you in
we'll
a week.
see you next week at CoCoFEST.
Yeah.
See you, Rick.
See there, Rick.
Bye.
Ken in the chat room is saying he wants to defend the bald guys. So, David, you have supporters.
Ken's got your back.
Yeah, I'm trying to defend you too, David.
We were all bald at one time.
You just want him to sit on your lap.
Yeah.
I just stay out of it.
That's probably the smart thing to do.
We bug him because we love him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have a cat sighting here. I think it's on my lap now, but
Don't worry, David. They're just all jealous.
So actually, one thing, since we don't know what it's going to be, we've only been teased about it. I am anxious to see what Cloud9 will have that's going to be new and exciting, because it was teased at on the CoCo Crew podcast, right? That Mark has been cooking something up, and it's something new, it's something different. So
It's a Commodore 64
on a chip.
So that is because of number one, we know who it is. Cloud9's got a good reputation. They've been making good stuff, and it's been teased. So they're kind of intentionally not giving anything away. You're left to your imagination. You're left to your own devices. So, will it be an entirely new product? Right? Because joystick adapters are not new. Memory is not new. I mean, they're necessary things. They're hot items. People need them. But are we going to see something new, right? Sound is new, right? So Sur Sound is new. Game Master cartridge is new. CoCo Flash is something that's new. That's, it's not original CoCo product. These are newer products. So I would be very curious. The RGB to SCART cables, which we will have 2 of, right? We're going to have the Switcheroo from CoCo Man. We'll have the Have Jim Brain Fix It from Boyson Technologies. So what does Richard call his cable? He's got Paragon. He's got Boomerang. What's his cable called? Megalodon, Pterodon,
a parallelogram.
Parallelogram. Did he put it in Discord? I need to find that real quick. And now's a good time to plug Discord too. For those of you who aren't already on our Discord server, you should get on it. And we have. He says you should kill the white noise. Oh, okay. So he thinks the static. You're talking about the static there, Mikey? Mikey put out a message there. So where did he put it? Did he put it in the CoCoTALK group? I think he had Richard Lorbieski had posted like what his banner was going to look like with his product names, and I don't remember what they were called. Anybody remember those names?
It was somewhere in Discord, I think.
I'm looking for it. But yeah, so getting back to Discord as I try to find this, you guys should really be joining the Discord server because we have daily conversations all the time. Maybe it's in the CoCoFEST group. CoComan.biz, his thing is there. I'm just not finding it now. He had 3 names Richard Lorbieski had for his products. I can't find them. I'm going to give up looking for them. All right. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Omni?
Omni, I believe it was.
I don't know. But anyways, we got the Boomerang for the memory, we got the Paragon for the joystick port, and then the third one was something else. That was his RGB to SCART cable. So yeah, there's new things on the horizon, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Cloud9's new thing is going to be.
Question is what do we not have out there that we could use still? Because everything's covered now, isn't it?
I've got a list of things that probably I know people have been asking for that hasn't been made yet. There's NES to CoCo joystick adapters. There's SNES. We've got PlayStation 1/2 joysticks. There's... God, what was the other request? There was another request for another interface.
Maybe some USB stuff.
USB keyboard and mouse. Yeah.
USB connectivity.
Yeah.
Would be good. I'm not talking just joysticks either. I'm talking anything USB. Like, getting a generic USB interface for a CoCo would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The issue with USB is that on the PCs, Mac, Linux, USB is CPU driven.
Yes.
And the biggest thing is that you'd have to have a microcontroller with a USB host chip to do all the work and then feed it to the CoCo.
Yeah.
But you would have to have it customized for the plug that you're trying to use, whether it's the keyboard or the joystick ports. And a lot of issues that was brought up when you do USB is people see a USB port and they think they can plug anything USB into it. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why some of the people that have been reluctant to do the USB, because then they think, well, it's USB, I can plug anything into it, and then it doesn't work. And it's like, this USB device isn't working. Well, it's because, is it the USB device that it was sold for?
Yeah, you need a driver for the specific USB class.
Right. Well, not only that, but some devices expect voltage to come out of the USB port too, and that could end up putting a draw or drain on the USB port that it wasn't designed for, and that could have a ripple effect too, right? Or
yes.
Yeah, you're right. We should just use Lightning instead.
Thunderbolt.
Yeah. USB is 500 milliamps.
Get right on that.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things is, the poor CoCo's power supply is already being tasked when you're using the official Radio Shack RAM on the CoCo 3, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. You just have a bundle deal where you get a 639, so that lowers the power draw on the CPU. You have a Boomerang or a Triad to reduce the power on the 512K, and bundle that with the USB.
And then you plug it into a multi-pack port too, and so that way it's getting its extra bus power.
Yeah, but that's the thing is everybody says, "Oh yeah, I want USB," and then, then I can use my USB printer with the CoCo. I'm going,
no,
no, you don't understand. That printer is so stupid. All the information is coming from the CPU, and it's feeding out. The CoCo doesn't have enough memory or power to print out a page under USB properly.
Yeah, well, that's why Dave was suggesting like you'd have to have a microcontroller with drivers for all the various things, which is not easy.
Yeah, it's just, and we're not talking even about basic microcontrollers. You're talking about pretty expensive microcontrollers to have enough memory to do it.
For printing, something like this little adapter board that I have, a CH376, should be able to do joystick, keyboard, mouse, easy enough. It's got a I2C, SPI, and parallel output.
Right.
So, yeah, any of the low bandwidth stuff should be okay.
Well, it's just like when we talk about getting an internet connection on a CoCo. Oh, I can go look at any web page that's out there. People don't realize that most web pages are a half a meg of RAM minimum. There's just not enough room in the CoCo to display the page. It can't display the graphics. It just can't do it. Right. It's designed for a more modern computer than something that was designed 30 years ago.
Right, or even 20 years ago.
Like 10 years ago, 10 to 20 years ago, I mean, links could actually hit a lot of the pages on the web, and you could actually see it in a text mode, which a CoCo could do. But most pages these days, you forget it. It's they're all graphics intensive and require you to see the graphics to do anything.
Yeah, I saw a demo of someone on a older machine running on Windows 95 and Windows 3.1 with the most current Netscape for the Windows 3.1 and, of course, Firefox that was usable on 95. And to view a current web page on a Windows machine back then, on the Windows 3.1, it took 3 hours to just render and display a page from today's websites. So, and that's a Windows machine from Windows 3.1. Imagine what the CoCo would be. That'd be like 8-10 hours to try to render. So,
so the big surprise at CoCoFEST is not going to be a graphical CoCo web browser.
Definitely not.
Most likely not.
But the thing is, if you've got a web server that's putting out very basic text, you can get a CoCo to do that. And actually, it's easier for the CoCo to become a web server and output the information that goes and such. Because, that's the thing, is you could go in that direction. But to try and sit there and use a CoCo as a functional web page or browser, it's just...
Now, using it as a functional Telnet VT52, VT100 compatible browser for doing BBSs, that works fine.
Yeah, and with the increased speed that we have now because of drive wires and your ESPs and stuff, I could see creating some type of custom experience for that. We can create an online CoCo experience using
even online multiplayer games like we had back in the day.
And I didn't OS 9 also support some control sequences where you could do screen manipulation through...
You could do overlay windows, you could do all kinds of stuff.
So you could do an OS 9 multiplayer game over drive wire.
The AlphaSoft BBS had a couple built in that I used to run on mine.
Kind of reminds me of what Prodigy did. Prodigy says, look, we don't have a lot of bandwidth. We can't download all these images, but we'll send out vector art. So it's smaller points of data. And you could probably do something similar in OS 9,
You could send the line drawing commands, box commands, circle commands, etc.
Yeah, the old vector art game ripoff could be done as a multi-platform unit. Real easy.
Hey, Steve, what's your shirt got on it?
Mine?
Bjork.
Oh.
Looks like monitors or chips on your shirt.
It's a Hawaiian shirt with a Hawaiian theme.
Oh, from here there's a square, so I thought maybe there were different chips or something.
It's a Leo Laporte style shirt.
Wow.
Years ago, I went to a conference and everybody said, why aren't you wearing a Hawaiian shirt? And more conferences I went to that I didn't wear a Hawaiian shirt, I was forced to wear the only shirt I brought with me that was Hawaiian. And much like John Lasseter, if I don't wear a Hawaiian shirt, people think something's wrong.
John Lasseter from Pixar, in case anybody doesn't recognize him.
Yes. All right. So who just turned on Ubuntu?
That's me.
Okay. What are you showing us here?
That's links on Ubuntu. Looking at the Glen side Color Computer Club webpage.
Okay.
That's the Lynx text-based browser.
Yep, Lynx text-based browser.
Which is how I used to get on the net with my CoCo back in the 90s myself, because I didn't have a PC at the time.
Right. Well, the reason why we can hear Mark typing is because this is also going to be an audio podcast. So for the visual impaired, we know that what Mark's doing here. So this is kind of like the audio version of Braille.
Yes, that was the space bar.
But it's a lot of text.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't look as pretty as a modern website on a modern computer.
No.
And a modern website, you just see image map, and a bunch of other things like that, and you wouldn't see any text at all because all the text is built into the graphics.
Yep.
Right.
You see here's the PNG, CM top PNG, space GIF.
Yeah. Yep. What's new?
Hey, there's the Coco 3 logo. Isn't it pretty?
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's neat.
Okay, how do I turn this off? Here we go.
But yeah, I would love to see some type of like ANSI telnet type stuff between CoCos. That would be kind of cool. It'd be period correct.
Yep.
It's within the realm of doability, the whole 9 yards. Kind of like David. It's very doable, like David.
Weren't you defending David just 5 minutes ago?
I'm complimenting him now. So, all right. So we've been doing this for 2 hours. We've been talking about CoCoFEST. I think we, you know what? Maybe we'll do an After Dark later tonight. Who knows if you guys are up for it later?
Yay!
But I think
some of us actually have to get our projects done.
Oh,
yeah, that's
crikey.
true.
Okay.
Well, you know, we could say that
yeah.
After Talk, or After Dark, for like Saturday night at the fest or Friday night at the fest.
Yeah, yes. I was also thinking too, since I'm going to be flying out Friday, maybe since this is the last CoCoTALK before CoCoFEST, maybe Thursday night we could do an After Dark, which would literally be the last time we can do a live broadcast before CoCoFEST. So maybe next week Thursday night we do something. Who knows?
I'll be in North Dakota somewhere probably around that time.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Hey,
all
Steve,
right, well,
in 84 you had a shirt on with the palms.
Yeah, look at that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is not something that just come up in the last 5 years.
No, I guess not.
And look at that. A CoCoTALK After Dark on a CoCo.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's a CoCo project, but it could be.
Should be.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, I like the After Dark logo. I like it on the shirt. I got 2 shirts. Can't wait to show them off at CoCoFEST. Oh, I got a banner. Has everybody seen the banner that I designed?
Nope.
Let me pull that up. Let me find that. I've got that in Discord too, somewhere.
That's 3 banners we're showing off today then.
Yeah. Did I put that in CoCoTALK?
It's a very banner-intensive episode.
Yeah.
Everybody's copied off of the Ease of Use project.
Yes. All right. So, what do I click on here to show that off? Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but this was kind of the layout in Photoshop that I did for this. And this is a 5 foot wide by 3 foot tall banner. And, we say that we're the nation's leading live talk show. Well, I decided to say that we're the greatest live talk on earth for this one. So
well, that's more appropriate, for all of us non-U.S. residents.
Yes.
We've been talking about that for years.
Yeah, yes. I'm also showing off some of our sponsors of the show. So we got Voice and Tech on there. Retro Innovations. The Switcheroo by Coco Band will be there. And even Brian Joyce of Extructus Productions. We got him on there too, since he designed the best of episodes that I will be pawning off there. So there you have it. And so I think we've beat it to death. We were talking about CoCoFEST. We're all excited. I think everybody gets it at this point. We're going to be there live next week, and I will be live streaming on this same channel. So for those of you who are watching CoCoFEST on this same YouTube channel, I'll be doing nonstop live streaming of all of the events. So I'll have laptops set up with cameras and microphones. So when people are speaking, that'll be streamed. I'll be doing stuff probably from my phone in the exhibit area, live streaming from the phone. I've got a handheld camera. I'll be recording video, uploading videos for hopefully get some side discussions going, get some bumpers going, get all kinds of stuff going. Lobby talk, after-hour talk, hallway talk, David in a bathrobe talk. We'll just have all kinds of stuff going on. So yeah, so I think mission accomplished. We talked about CoCoTALK today. This is 1 week before CoCoTALK. CoCoTALK is the event that inspired this show. And
I mean CoCoFEST, right?
Yeah. No, CoCoTALK inspired CoCoTALK.
I have one quick question.
So yes, Grant Leighty.
I just want to know what everybody's opinion is. Do you think we're going to be 100, 110, 130? What's the attendance going to be this year?
Over 100.
Yeah,
let's go for $125. That's my number.
Is there a prize if we guess the right number?
It's like, guess how many jelly beans are in the jar?
In the jar.
I mean, we should easily beat 100, right? You would think.
Hey, we should make a contest.
Yeah, well, seriously, if we do get that, we give you a little extra wax on the buffing of somebody's head.
You had an extra couple of strokes with the old brush there.
I guess the question I'm trying to figure out is, have we hit 100 before in the last 10 years? Does anybody know?
In the past 10 years? Well, I couldn't say.
Yeah. You have to have people that actually were attending during that time, because I only started going back a couple of years back myself.
How much was it back in 2007, 2006, whenever you and Steve went? Or what, 80, 70, 80? When we were in Elgin?
I don't know. They never told me how many people were there. I do remember, like, the first decade of the show, there were definitely more attending.
Yeah, definitely well over 100, probably a couple hundred there.
I think, like, the first show, wasn't it over 300?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
But still, to be, more than 25 years later and the numbers going up, not down, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yep. Resurgence in the interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In other words, you guys out there, if you're not going, the old adage, be there or be square.
Yep.
If you can't make it this year, start planning for next year.
Yeah.
Yep. Start saving.
That goes out to you.
And then, Tandy Assembly. We'll be talking about Tandy Assembly after this. It should be 6 months from CoCoFEST. But I love the line that they came up with. I think it might have been Myro, where it says, if you're like within 5 hours of the Chicago area, you have a moral imperative to go to CoCoFEST. You've got no excuse not to be there. You've known about it for a year. And other than being on a fixed income, which I can understand. If you're on a fixed income and you don't have the extra money to do things with, that's one thing. But other than that, you got time to plan, you got time to save. You can find a way, It's just a matter of priorities. And,
There's enough people driving, you could probably hitch a ride. If you're
carpooling,
yeah. And just remember, people like myself and William Astle are driving 22 to 27 hours to get there. So
from another country. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is this theme is fusion. I think a better theme would have been homecoming.
Well, maybe we can do that for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or save that for the 40th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A couple of years away.
PennFest 2020.
That'd be something. All right, well, we have beat this one to death. So we didn't do big introductions. We didn't do project updates. So I'll spend a little bit more time on the closing because we had a quick opening. So Mark Overholser, any parting thoughts, words of wisdom, anything you want to leave us with?
Well, I'm excited to be here, excited I'm going to be there. At least everything's still on track, and I'm hoping to have some projects to show. I got a couple tables, and if Mikey needs some space, I'm sure I can come up with something. Hoping to do networking stuff. I'm thinking networking games, multiple platforms, and all that kind of cool stuff. So just in the past 3 months, just all the stuff that's been coming out for networking for the CoCo is just fantastic. Exactly where I want to go. The foundation of what I want to do. So.
Excellent. David Ladd.
Well, I can't wait to see everyone in person and hopefully we can all enjoy the CoCoFEST and have a great old time.
And buff.
Watch your backs, people. Watch your backs.
See, David, when you talk like this is
That
why
was
we bug you.
creepy.
Yeah, that was creepy. He's laying it on a little thick there, David.
That's creepy.
I'm seeing Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
His enthusiasm went to 11. I like your enthusiasm, David. It's contagious. Steve Bjork, parting thoughts.
Well, definitely going to be there, and besides just a little bit of CoCo stuff going on, though I'm sad that I didn't get my soundboard done, but with so many sound options on there, I don't know if it's really that needed, but I'll still get it done at some point. But the kicker is I am bringing some animation stuff, and I'm going to be teaching people how they can do that stuff in BASIC. Not CoCo BASIC, but still BASIC.
Yeah.
Neat.
And what about the MC10 fire burning presentation you're going to do?
I'm still trying to find the shooting range that we can all go over there with our MC10s.
Are they going to be busy holding all the doors open for the fest, though?
Yeah, that's
We have to
true.
do the Sunday night.
Table wedges, all kinds of stuff, right?
Nobody wants to take that home on Sunday after the show, so yeah, might as well just put that.
Oh yeah, one more thing. If you are in the Chicago area, there's a pretty good arcade called Gobbling Ghosts, and they got like 700 machines.
Yeah,
you may want to take some time over there for that.
I think we've kind of mostly agreed that's our Sunday night plan, right?
Yep, Sunday night. A
That
bunch of us
sounds
are
good.
going over.
Cool.
Yeah.
How late are they open on Sunday?
2 a.m.
Oh, no problem. We can do dinner and then go over there.
Dinner
You pay
in
your
the
$20
arcade.
and all the games for free.
Boom.
Oh.
Cool. And Ron Delvaux, what is this email address you're plugging here? Charge.
If you guys send me a picture to this email address, and I'll make a DSK out of it, bitmap, so that you can display it on your CoCo.
Okay.
It's the
that's
neatest,
cool.
coolest thing. You could take any picture and make it go on your CoCo and look halfway decent. Now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Oh, so
Charge around.
Paul Fiscarelli says it's called Galloping Ghosts, but yeah, that's the name
Okay,
of the
thank
arcade.
you.
Yeah, there you go. And Glen Hewlett, thanks for being here today. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom you want to leave us with?
No, just saying I'm looking forward to seeing all you guys. The CoCoFEST should be awesome.
Yeah, you're coming down from Canada too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So these lazy Americans, man, you guys show us how it's done, man.
Yeah, I'm about, I don't know, I think it was about 10 hours last CoCoFEST when I came.
Wow.
10 hour drive. So yeah, everybody get in your car and drive over.
Get on over. It's a good time.
For sure.
And Nick Marentes, we talked about one of your favorite programs today, Color Script Shit. So,
And Nick, how long did it take you to drive over?
Well, I'm actually just putting my bathers on right now. I'll probably start swimming after the show. I might make it there in time.
You get
Stopping over Hawaii again?
I just got to. Well, yeah, I've got to dodge the sharks on the way over. So.
You got to grease up.
Maybe what we can do is get the Finding Nemo submarines from Disneyland to come over and pick you up.
Yeah. You take some of the David wax, take some of that David Ladd head wax that he buffs with, and put that all over your body. The water won't stick to you. So.
Well, if I can take a few MC10s with me, I can use them as bait. Here, eat this. Eat this while I get away.
That's a shark repellent. They won't come after it. Like, I don't want to eat that. That's crap. So.
Yeah, the sharks swim up to you all vicious, and then they go, "Oh, you poor thing," and they go just get away.
Too many bones.
And the
Simon's
CoCo Man
working on something for the MC10.
Yeah, he has a music file, some 1-bit music playing. And CoCo Man, parting thoughts, predictions, words of advice.
Well, let's see here. There'll be at least 2 people there that have never been to a CoCoFEST. I'll go that far, and I think that's a pretty safe prediction. And I'm just looking forward to meeting everybody, seeing everybody. I mean, I probably have met a few of you guys over at PennFest, but it's been so long I don't remember. I know Curtis was there. I saw a picture, but I don't remember a lot about that. But
well, I didn't remember John
time.
Linville was sitting at my talk on the TC9, like literally right across the desk from me, was asking questions. I didn't remember that at all.
It was a long time ago, but
yeah.
I'm looking forward to bringing. I'm going to be bringing the Chalice of Bravery. It will be on display. Yeah.
So between the MC10s and the Chalice of Douchery, that's going to be a pretty interesting show.
Not only can we touch the heron and buff the head, we can now touch the chalice too. So
fondle the chalice, I think.
Fondle, yeah.
Oh, and we just went there.
Curtis Boyle.
Well, I'm looking forward to the buffing ceremony.
Gonna have the shiniest head in show business. I swear to God.
Bring those sunglasses.
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody, especially like I said before, some of the faces I have not either seen in quite a long time or I've never met in person, like Ron and others. I'm going to be probably releasing the Alpha 3 to the alpha testers for EOU probably later today because I've been too busy with work. I haven't had time to catch it up as much as I would have liked. It's going to be a fairly minor updated release compared to what my original plan was. I've got a lot of stuff on the go for it, but none of it's ready to go and needs some testing and needs more code added first. So, but we'll hopefully get some interest at the booth when we're showing it off. I'm hoping to get a comparison between the 6809 and the 6309 so people can see what the speed differences is between the two chips. And then they can just pop over to the, Richard's table and get upgrades. So hopefully it'll be mutually beneficial.
Yep.
Are you going to have DeskMate working on there?
Probably not at this point. I've got some VDG stuff I got to fix up before I start doing all the VDG games and DeskMate and some of the other stuff.
But eventually it will?
Yeah.
Cool.
Neat. And then last but certainly not least, Grant Leighty, play us out.
Well, I am looking forward to the drive to Chicago. Looking forward to seeing everybody that's here. I have not met everybody here in person yet, so that's going to be a good time. Good food. Yep. And David and I are going to be working on a couple projects. He's going to finally get to touch the dragon that I got from this last year. So I'll tease
just
him.
Just make sure you leave with it afterwards, because knowing David, you may not have it by the end of Sunday.
That's true.
Hey! Just because I've been trying to find Dragon Tano for ages now doesn't mean anything.
So yeah, I'm looking for a good time. I think we're all going to have a good time. I think it'll be a good show.
Okay.
It'll be one of the best shows we've had in many years.
Yeah. So not only a good CoCoFest, but maybe one of the possible best CoCo talks ever too. Because if we're all in the same room just talking, that might be a good talk. Like a real in the same room kind of conversation there. Oh, so Wayne Aaron just asked a good question, and I also have to remind you guys of one more thing. But let's look at what Wayne Aaron just said. And by the way, Jim Brain's starting to fall asleep now. He says, but so Wayne says after CoCoFest, could you have a buying guide show for the different color computers, not the MC10? So that's a good idea. Talk about what are eBay prices going for? What's a good CoCo to get? What's a good price to pay? I also want to say that actually the Saturday after CoCoFest, which I think is on the 28th, that's another Florida Retro Club meeting down south, and I'll probably be at that meeting and probably do some live streaming from there if the bandwidth permits. So we might not have a normally scheduled CoCoFest the week after. We might not have a regular CoCo talk the week after CoCoFest, so we'll probably have to do like maybe a Friday night one or something like that, because I definitely want to do a wrap-up show, the after CoCoFest wrap-up show.
A debrief,
yeah. A post-mortem.
Yeah, the CoCo Blues.
The CoCo Blues. Well, that's what I think between the CoCo crew and our show, since we're getting together, I think we're taking the edge off the blues. If you have to literally wait a year in a vacuum, that's when the blues kicks in. But I think we're keeping an element of socialness, going all year long.
Oh, definitely. I think it's helping promote all this development, all the new stuff that's coming out.
Yep.
And Tandy Assembly helps a lot too, and that's 6 months away.
Yep.
And if you need that fixed, there's always Discord.
And there's Discord. Discord is daily.
Yeah.
Get your daily fix of David Ladd. So
you got the guys in there midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. All right. Well, Jim Brain's starting to fall asleep, so let's put this show out of its misery. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the 25 to 29 people we had in the live chat today, starting with John Lowry and Disney Saints fan, and Mark Overholser, Steve Bjork, David Ladd, Richard Lorbieski, Retro Innovations, Drencor, Davey Mitchell was out there, Curtis Boyle was in the live chat, James Jones was in the live chat, Mr. James Diffendaffer was in the live chat. I believe I already mentioned Disney Saints fans. Hans Holtz came by with his Trump propaganda. Ken Make It, brother of Coco Man. Coco Man, as seen on that other show.
And
Ken
defender
was
of
here.
bald guys.
Retro Innovations was here. And Wayne Aaron. And I believe I got just about everybody. Good. So for all of you who were watching us live, thank you. For everybody who was here in the call, thank you. So we are now going to begin our closing ceremonies. This is not the end. This is only
the first
phase.
last half hour.
Yeah, this is phase 1. So until then.
Thank you for watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTALK.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTALK@CoCoTALK.live. If you love the color computer like we do, then visit I'mACoconut.com for all your color computer needs. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, then visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/OGStevieStro. CoCoTALK would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholser, Grant Leighty, Bruce Moore, Rick Adams, Ron Delvaux, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Nick Marentes, Karen Anscombe, Simon Jonason, Wayne Campbell, Steve Batson, Brian Joyce, John Strong, and Barry Nelson. Special thanks to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and Brian Joyce for our Best of 2017 episode. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its contributors. The CoCo Crew podcast at CoCoCrew.org. Glenside Color Computer Club, host of CoCoFest at GlensideCCC.com. Jim Brain and Retro Innovations at go4retro.com. Tandy Assembly at TandyAssembly.com. Cloud9 Technologies at cloud9tech.com. Boyson Technologies at BOYSONtech.com.
Yeah, too bad Bruce couldn't be here today. We're listening to his wonderful theme song. CoCoTALK theme song, copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Schalar. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. Dale Lear. I believe today was Dale's birthday. It was on Facebook. Rick Adams, Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Buff the Head, Grant Leighty, Mark Overholser. Here comes the high note. Bill Noble. Yeah! Love that high note. Karen Anscombe. Brendan Donahue. Ron Delvaux. Don't forget to touch the heron, everyone. All right, so that completes the closing credits. Has anybody seen the new Lost in Space that just came out on Netflix?
No, but I'm thinking about watching it here.
I watched episode 1 last night. I gotta say, it's good. I'm always concerned with a reboot. What are they gonna do? You know, and it's starting off good. Starting off with a bang. Interesting. Very interesting. So. Yeah, and I was trying to explain to my daughter what Lost in Space was today when we were in the car.
Those were the good old days. Watching them every Sunday morning.
Right, and I'm like, well,
danger.
Exactly.
Yeah. My arms are flailing wildly. Danger, danger.
Jim says, I can't believe I'm spending precious cellular data on this. Well, shame on you, Jim. Listen.
He has unlimited minutes data anyways.
You bubble-headed booby.
Right. Don't hold back, Nick. Tell us what you really think.
Grammar issue?
Yes. So, by the way, for those of you who are still out there, this is what's known as the post-credit scene now, part of CoCoTALK, or the after talk, the bonus talk.
What we really think.
What we really think, right?
Ow.
Actually, you know what? I might just grab, while I'm there, a CoCo Mem, just to save on shipping, you know? Not the CoCo Mem, but the CoCo Flash, right?
There you go.
Yeah, CoCo Flash. Just, you know, just to get one. Play with that, see what that's
I
like.
don't think CoCo Mem and CoCo Mem Jr. are ready to ship at this point, are they?
I thought the CoCo Mem Jr. was close.
I believe they're still in the vaporware stage. So
yeah, you can't even return them yet.
Ready.
They're still in the imaginary stage. They're working their way from the imagination phase to the vaporware phase to the.
It's a trollware.
Trollware.
then there's the RMA phase and.
Yes, RMA. Designed by X. I got to say, when it comes to background noise and loud keyboards, this episode probably has got your most bang for your buck.
Literally. We get you your most keyboard noise.
That's
and
right.
Pass the savings on to you.
For the visually impaired. So yeah, maybe I'll grab a CoCo Flash while I'm there. There's things I want. Actually, I had told Richard that I want to get a couple of those boomerang boards because I'm selling my third CoCo 3. I've got my primary one, I've got a spare one, I've got a third one. I'm bringing one down to another guy in the South Florida club. So I'm going to grab a 512K upgrade for him. So I'm going to be grabbing a memory board from Richard.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there's things I want, like Steve was saying, Steve Bjork saying I'm going to spend $1,000 on product. There's things I want to get. I want to get RAM. Who knows what else is there? I want sound chips.
If you need chips, Stevie, let me know. I'll ship it for you.
Well, you got to also remember when you go to buy something in the auction and there's something you really want, you tell Alan not to bid on it.
Yeah, good luck with that, right? So that's
either that or you give him a mouth gag so we can't speak. One of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that would be a pretty good shot of him tied up to a chair with a gag on, and we say the auction's about to start.
And just watch him squirm.
Just bring a tranquilizer dart.
Oh my God! That reminds me of Silence of the Lamb.
Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, I want to say, Grant, did you get a Yeti mic?
Yes, I did.
No, you're just not using it because it sounds like crap. So.
Well, yeah, because for some reason you guys were saying that it wasn't muted, so I disconnected it to make sure it wasn't.
Did you try the actual mute button on the microphone?
Yeah, it's been flashing, and
but it wasn't. That's weird.
Yeah,
I get the problem with Discord, but I don't get it on Skype.
So I switched over to my headset. That's what I did.
Yeah. The headsets just make sense anyways. You can move your head around, your voice doesn't change in volume.
Yeah, that's one nice thing. All right, well, I believe we definitely beat this show to death. I guess I can try to catch up with you guys later on Discord to see if we want to do another after talk later tonight, if anybody's up for that. For those who have lives and projects and priorities, you might not be able to join us, but for us, for the rest of us, we might be able to do something.
Low lights that aren't accomplishing anything.
All right, well, let's put Jim out of his misery and save him some cellular data. So, thank you all. Yes. Goodbye, YouTube.